trafficker, aren't you?
Are there?
Yes. Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? So if you have a look quickly, just quickly, right?
Be Mr. Patrick Christie's. But breaking news, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch is mid-reshuffle of her shadow cabinet, just in the nick of time for the summer recess. All the latest appointments as we get them.
Sir Keir Starmer, meanwhile, has insisted there is lots of housing available to accommodate both the rising number of homeless people and asylum seekers. Do you believe him?
I'd much rather see a great big strapping male police officer with a female, but female police officers are incredibly...
You don't feel comfortable if there were two female trained police officers?
I think they look vulnerable, but, you know, that's just my opinion.
Ooh, controversial. Yes, that's the Reform MP, Sarah Pochin. She says female officers should be deployed to more sensitive situations after female officers have been hurt in recent incidents. Does she have a point?
And Cabinet at war. Yes, leaks reveal that the Chancellor has slapped down the Deputy Prime Minister and her attempts to give cash-strapped councils the power to charge a tourist tax. Is this yet more damaging leaking and briefing from within the Cabinet?
And I'm looking forward to this. Yes, for the first time in 30 years, the tall ships race heads to Scotland. We're live at the magnificent scene in Aberdeen.
Yeah, good afternoon, I suppose it is now. We're at the Tall Ships Race, day 4 of this historic event here in Aberdeen. The ships are on their parade of sail, leaving the harbour. And while there's none behind me, here's the other part of the story. Tens of thousands of people lining the waterways in Edinburgh, in Aberdeen, for this amazing event.
Let's go live to Wales to hear Nigel Farage and his new announcement.
I also believe there'll be some senior figures from Welsh agriculture that will want to be on our party lists as well. But we also do need people who actually understand how the place works or doesn't work. I mean, I don't know. And Laura is the first of those to be with us. So I'm delighted to say that today is a big step forward for Reform UK in Wales.
Thank you, Nigel. And I guess one of the principal reasons you're here today is to hear from Laura Ann Jones. I've worked with her very closely over the years. I'm absolutely delighted that she's decided to become a Reform UK member. So you'll want to hear from her. Laura.
Diolch. And Prynhawn da, everybody. It's wonderful to be here at the Royal Welsh Show to announce this. This is the jewel in our crown of agricultural shows here in Wales. And as a farmer's daughter, I feel like I'm on sort of home turf announcing this today. And as farming is the reason that I joined politics in the first place, to fight for them, it feels quite fitting that we're here. So why did I leave? That's what you all want to know, isn't it? Well, after 31 years in the Conservative Party, I've just suddenly felt that the Conservative Party was unrecognisable to me. It wasn't the party that I joined over 3 decades ago. I could no longer sort of justify on the doorsteps Conservative policies that were happening, and I could no longer deal with the membership and face the membership and justify what the party were doing. It's a tough decision, obviously, to be here today. You know, like any breakup, there are some good bits and there's some really good people that I will miss in Westminster, in Wales, colleagues and members. But I always hold them in high regard. But this isn't about them. This is bigger than that. This is what's right for the people of Wales, the people of Britain. And I truly believe that I've joined a party today in Reform UK that listens to people, is listening to people of Great Britain, and speaks to me, and I know speaks to many people in terms of the values that it offers and what it wants to see done. Wales is a complete mess, as you know. We've got the worst educational outcomes. We've got the health statistics, which are the worst in the UK. farmers are getting battered, pensioners are getting battered, vulnerable people are getting battered, and we can't have this go on. And I truly believe that the Reform Party is the one, with this great man at the helm, it's good to be here with him today, that is saying all the right things. And I believe that this party can take Wales forward into a great place. Wales needs reform. And I feel that now, finally, in this party, I feel part of the solution, not the problem. So let's reform Cymru. Diolch.
Thank you, Laura. Now, I guess two of you may have some questions you want to ask. So who'd like to go first?
Laura, when did you tell Darren Miller and the Conservative group, and what was their reaction?
I haven't told them that. They're finding out when you are.
Do you think you owe it to them to have told them before now?
No, absolutely not. I think this is the right way and proper way to do it. The letters are in the posts to them and emails already.
So nobody in the Conservative Party currently knows, well, they're finding out at the same time as us?
Yes.
Next question.
Where will you be standing? Do you know yet?
I don't know where I'm going to be standing yet. It'll be, I'm not sure what the process is. It'll be an open process. We've got so many candidates, I think, that want to stand in Wales. So I'll put myself forward and see what happens.
And are you standing because you wouldn't have a hope of being re-elected as a Conservative member?
No, absolutely not. That's not why I'm standing. I was given incumbency by my own party, and I had a fair chance of getting in. So, I've been through those processes. The party selected me. It's not as though I didn't have a chance to be selected or a chance to be elected. But that's not the point. I'm here today because I no longer recognise the party as the party for me. It's not listening to its members. And I just want to be with a party that's saying all the right things to me and most importantly, will do the right things for this country.
But thanks for acknowledging that Reform candidates have got a better chance of winning. Who's next?
Very good.
Yes.
As the most senior Reform politician in Wales at the moment, at least, does that mean that you will be leading the party into the Senate election?
No, I'm not.
Question was directed to
I appreciate that, but I just thought I'd make that point clear. Nice to see you, Jane.
Yeah. And the answer?
We'll have to see what happens, won't we?
Yeah, look, I've said this before. I've been asked, of course, you've all asked me, who is your leader in Wales? Remember that Reform is a relatively young party. We've just about moved beyond start-up phase. And, of course, a leader will be appointed in Wales. But the answer to your question is all in good time. All in good time. For the moment, David is, of course, our elder statesman. He's not that old, but he's an elder statesman. And I will be here a lot between now and next May. And we'll see from the 96 that get selected, from those that get elected, we will, of course, have a Welsh leader, but not just yet.
Next.
For Nigel, please. The Conservatives have been wiped out in Wales. Why do you think that recruiting former Conservative members now is going to give you any chance of them being elected again?
Well, I think you're right in one sense that the Conservative Party are going to disappear as a national party next May. You will see the Conservatives almost ceasing to exist in Scotland, in Wales, and a lot of those people, a lot of those voters are coming to us. But we're also picking up a lot of votes from old Labour, and I think we've also got the potential to get votes from those who don't normally vote in elections. And certainly the English county elections on May the 1st were as big a surprise to me as they were to anybody else. We did way far better than any expectations that I had, and that was because of people who don't normally vote coming out to vote for us. So, I think what Laura brings with her is conviction. What she brings with her is experience. She knows how the place works, and that's very, very important for us. And I think what she also brings with her is passion. She really wants to do this. She's energised by doing this. So, no, I think we're in a very good place here.
Yes.
Thomas Evans, Sky News. If I could just get both your reactions, obviously Laura having just left the Conservative Party and also Mr Farage, in terms of the cabinet reshuffle, the shadow cabinet reshuffle going underway at the moment, we're understanding here at Sky News that there's a return for James Cleverly. Is it too little too late for the party in terms of that reshuffle?
Quite how? I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it, really? He's called Cleverly and he represents Braintree, and I'm not sure that either really work, but never mind. No, James is absolutely charming. Absolutely charming. He stands four square behind nothing in particular, and so that rather suits the modern-day Conservative Party. Look, do you know what? There'll be this reshuffle. Most of the people that get reshuffled, frankly, are not even household names. No one is even talking about them. And if you look at the polls, they're sliding. They're now sort of 17, 16, whatever it may be. They've got further to go down. And I believe, and I'll repeat the point I made a moment ago, I believe after May next year, they will cease to be a national party.
Yeah, the Conservative Party have forgotten how to be conservative.
Quite.
Puts it succinctly, yes.
Yeah, Alex from S4C News. Nigel, obviously the sustainable farming scheme just been announced here in Wales. Obviously a lot of farmers weren't happy with the original plans. If Reform were elected in Wales, what would they do with that scheme? Would they keep it? Would they scrap it?
So
what parts of it would you scrap?
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm here is to talk to the farming community, which we've been doing this morning already, spending a considerable amount of time with them. There's one promise that I will make, and that is that we will, between now and next May, get Welsh farmers directly involved in formulating what the right policy is. There's way too much goes on in politics, whether it's at Welsh Government level, whether it's at Westminster level, where, frankly, elected politicians with very limited knowledge of subjects seem to understand what the right policy is. So we want a big input from Welsh farmers, and we also, and I've made this appeal this morning to several people, we also want Welsh farming voices, those that are actively involved in farming, to put themselves forward to be on that list of 96 candidates.
Just to follow up on that, the sustainable farming scheme, of course, that was post-Brexit funding that was going to be replaced. As the UK's premier Brexiteer, do you feel you bear any responsibility for the situation farmers find themselves in?
I think the biggest problem with Brexit was that actually those of us that believed in it were never in a position to implement it. I mean, David saw this at first hand rather more than I did. No, there are big disappointments in the way that Brexit has been implemented across a number of levels. Of course, we stand taller on the world stage. Of course, there are benefits that we've derived from it. But frankly, I think when it comes to agriculture, for example, I don't think anybody in government or in the senior civil service ever contemplated us voting to leave, ever had any plan in place, and after 50 years of not making our own policy, we just haven't caught up yet. I mean, David, you were there, you saw it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact is that the establishment didn't want it. But you make a very important point. You've got two parties in power now at Cardiff and at Westminster, two governments in power at Westminster and in Cardiff of the same party. And yet the Welsh Government is being denied the funding it needs. And yet the Welsh Government is imposing upon Welsh farmers the so-called sustainable farming scheme, which is going to result, on their own figures, in 5,000 fewer people being employed in the industry, which will mean less money for farmers, and will mean that probably a lot of them are going to go out of business. We heard that this morning from Welsh farmers. So, quite frankly, I think that the people you should be asking questions such as that to is to the Welsh Farming Minister, Hugh Aranka-Davies, and asking him why he hasn't yet published the impact statement that's been produced. He's got it. It's sitting in his desk drawer, and yet he's too afraid to publish it because he knows just how badly that will rebound on this Labour government. Welsh farming has lost out as a result of Labour administration. Labour administrations have been propped up by Plaid Cymru. And what we need now in Wales is a change, and we need a reform UK government.
Mr Farage, do you still think that chlorine-treated chicken should be allowed to be imported into the UK?
I'm a great believer in if you write on a packet in great big letters, this is chlorine-treated chicken, and let the consumer make their own choice, I think they'll be happy to buy a quality product. It's the view I've always taken with everything. What I do feel very strongly about, though, is the underselling of British produce. If I go into my local supermarket back at home, I've got to put my glasses on to find out where the produce comes from. I've no idea whether the asparagus a month ago was from Kent, from Essex, from Paraguay. I mean, I literally don't know. And I don't think we make enough. We don't make enough in terms of packaging, presentation and sales of Welsh lamb and of other British products. And it's something that the supermarkets have promised again and again to do something about, and from what I can see, frankly, they haven't lifted a finger.
Can I just say that I think that Wales is crying out for a Welsh government that's more focused on food production and supporting it in every form. That goes back to your SFS comment as well, and less focused on tree planting.
Laura, there's a standards, or there has been a Standards Commission investigation ongoing into matters relating to yourself. Is that ongoing? What's the situation now?
It's not finished yet, but I've had sight of the report, and I wouldn't be standing here if I wasn't confident with the outcome.
Are there more to follow, Laura? Are there others in the group who might join you?
We'll see, won't we?
It depends whether we'll have them.
Who don't you want?
It depends. I'm not going to play that. Good question, there. Very good question.
OK, who's next?
I think we've done them in. Very good.
Everybody happy?
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Can I just get you two standing there, please? Just both of you standing there, please.
Yeah.
Us?
Lovely.
Well, there we have it, a Conservative defection of a sitting Assembly member in Wales, or I should say Senedd member in Wales, to the Reform Party. This makes Reform's first parliamentary representation in Wales.
Yes, and it's not too long till those elections, is it, next May? So they'll be gearing up towards those, hoping to do well in Wales. But let's speak to our political editor, Christopher Hope, on this. Christopher, another Conservative defection. Your thoughts?
Yes, I think an important one here for Reform UK. Laura Ann Jones, a party member for 31 years, a member of Conservative Future, the youth wing, back in 1996. She is a member of the Welsh Senedd, the MS for South Wales. I think it matters. She's been around the houses in Tory circles for a while. She appeared on BBC Question Time in 2004. She hasn't told anybody in the party this announcement. Kemi Badenoch, if she's watching GB News, will have found out about this defection watching GB News moments ago. It shows, I think, how Reform UK is spreading out its tentacles across the country. You're seeing there on screen all the cameras now taking pictures of Nigel Farage with Laura Ann Jones. Big question there, will more come? And Laura Jones says, we'll see. And that is interesting because we're looking into these Senedd elections next May, 96 seats up for grabs. It is very possible that Reform UK win a majority in that parliament. An extraordinary moment, I think, for this party, which was nowhere barely 18 months ago until Nigel Farage came up back on the scene and energised this party, bring in new members, bring in new money. It really is his party, frankly, and everyone else is living in his world in Reform UK. But they could well win power next May, and this is what this is all about, trying to get momentum, get voices actually in the Welsh Senedd to speak up for Reform UK issues. And don't forget, next May is also the big issue in Scotland, where it looks like Reform UK, if the polls are right, could hold the balance of power and force Labour to do a deal with Reform UK to keep the nationalists out. That will also be extraordinary. And that's why I think you heard Nigel Farage say there that after May next year, it will cease to be a national party, he said, of the Tory party. Of course, at the same time as all this happening, over in party headquarters, the Tory party headquarters, they are reshuffling their front bench in rather a big way. So it's a big day, I think, for reform politics and also for the Tories.
Chris, do you think it matters that the Reform Party has so far seemingly only got defections at a legislative level from Conservatives, when this is a party that is standing against the Conservatives, trying to win votes from the Labour Party, of course, the party that won the last election? Does it matter that at this most senior level they haven't really been able to win round many sitting or former Labour Party figures?
I think that definitely matters, Tom, because we're told by Nigel Farage and his team that they're appealing to Labour voters, those who've never voted at all, and a lot of those, and Tory voters. But where are the big names coming across from the Labour Party? They aren't. Kemi Badenoch said that Reform UK is very left-wing a few weeks ago. She's thinking probably of the Scunthorpe Steelworks being nationalised, lifting the two-child benefit cap for Indigenous Britons, as Reform UK are talking about. But at the top level, it's simply not touching those politicians backing the Labour Party, but it is on the right, on the Tory Party, and that is part of the problem, I think, for the Tory Party. It is still seen as a party which is splitting the vote on the right, even though we're told by Nigel Farage that isn't the case.
But Christopher, I have noted that Nigel Farage has been surrounding himself by females recently. Do you think this is a strategy? He had Layla Cunningham, the councillor. He had Sarah Pochin, of course, next to him yesterday for his big crime announcement. Today, another female defection. This is probably good because he's been told he has a women's problem, or Reform UK does.
Well, I think in the past people have said that Reform UK have a lads problem, lots of male advisors, but it does seem, and while that may be the case, it does seem on the public-facing Reform UK party, they do have a lot of high-profile women supporters, former politicians. Anne Widdecombe, you could have mentioned her, so much as the ones you mentioned there. I think Nigel Farage just wants the best people. I don't think the issue of gender is an issue for him. But there's a feeling maybe that Reform UK, I think, appeals towards the male voters. I'm trying to scramble my brain for the polling on that, Emily. But I think it's good to have more women in politics. I think that's a good thing.
And just over the course of the last couple of weeks, the representation in Parliament from females Reform MPs has gone from 1/5 to 1/4. So that's advancing there in terms of the proportions, if not the numbers. Well, Christopher Hope, thanks indeed for joining us there live from Westminster.
Yeah, I don't like the old identity politics tick box thing, but I do think it probably is a good look to have some females standing behind you as well as the lads.
No, you want to look like the country you're going to govern, if you are indeed to govern it.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up. Yes, Sir Keir Starmer, well, he's insisted that there is lots of housing available to accommodate both the rising numbers of homeless people and also asylum seekers. Where exactly are these homes? He doesn't seem to know.
But after the break, the government announces a raft of new measures it claims will smash the gangs, finally. But after those small boat crossings rose by almost 50% in the first half of this year, does anyone trust this government to get a grip?
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
What stresses you out the most?
Oh, stupid people. Yeah, stupid people. Actually, I'm convinced the world is full of stupid people.
Right, OK.
All right, so stupid people...
Why are you looking at me? Why are you looking at me?
No, I actually wouldn't look at you, mate. You're a smart person. But, no, honestly, if you were in my life, particularly when you rely on people to do things for you and they just can't see the obvious thing to do sometimes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But you have to be very grateful that they are doing things for you.
Yeah, that's...
Ellie, for me, it depends on the mood I'm in. Because if little things happen and I'm not in the right mood, then everything drives me crazy.
Now, that is a very good point. So, micro-stresses.
Is that what it is?
But according to the Daily Mail this morning, 89% of Britons are finding the small stresses is exhausting them the most.
Yeah.
Things like being stuck in traffic.
Yes.
Hate that. The bin bag breaking.
I actually don't mind being stuck in traffic.
No, I do. I find it...
That's OK.
Great on my soul.
Unless it's late, I'm late for something. Although I was stuck for about 3 hours trying to get home yesterday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but you see, I don't think those are micro-stresses. I think they're major stresses.
Full-on stresses.
That's what the study says,
So listen, don't pass them off as, it's only just stuck in traffic. That's a major thing.
OK,
yeah.
that's major stress. OK.
Yeah.
It says sometimes it triggers the same exhaustion as a single major life event. If you have lots of these in a day. So bin bag breaking is you taking it out, losing your keys.
That's a major one.
Yeah.
That's major for me.
People who walk slowly, that is so irritating. Forgetting to charge your phone overnight, forgetting to put the bins out, not being able to find an outfit.
You know what I really hate? Really, really grinds my gears?
What?
Is when I either let someone out, and when I'm in the car, I let someone out and they don't say thanks, or I stop and let them cross over and they don't go,
That's irritating.
Well, I tend to agree with you, Paul.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It is now 24 minutes past 12. Now, as it continues in its efforts to smash the gangs, the government is launching a major crackdown on people smugglers.
Yes, under the new plans announced by the Foreign Secretary, those involved in assisting and organising illegal immigration to the UK will face a series of sanctions, including travel bans and asset freezes.
Well, this all comes as GB News' Patrick Christys conducted an undercover sting operation aimed at exposing the true scale of Britain's migrant crisis.
We've been given a location to meet a human trafficker, and we are on our way there now. We are 16 minutes away. There's a lot of people. I mean, maybe they're meeting him as well, really. Bear in mind how brazen this guy is, right? So he puts his WhatsApp phone number on TikTok. He's not afraid of law. He doesn't care. He's not afraid of getting caught. Hello. How are you? Are you okay? You've sent me a location to say I should meet you here.
No speak English.
You don't speak English. It's just you spoke English when you messaged me before, didn't you? They are the human traffickers who are bringing people across. We're going to hand all of this over to the French police and see if anything can be done about it. Another human trafficker has sent me a live location, which is just a few hundred metres down this road. Someone who works with me will come and pick you up, give him 1,500 euros so you can go on this trip. He's also sent a voice note.
Okay, Batra Habibi, 10 minutes coming, my friend. Okay.
I'm Patrick Christys, I'm from GB News, and you are a human trafficker, aren't you? Yes. Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? You know, when people die in the Channel, do you feel any kind of conscience about that at all? Do you feel bad about that at all? Or not? No? You don't? No? So, all right, we're going to have to get out of here. We just had glass bottles thrown at us. So, that's that. OK, well, yeah, we just had a glass bottles thrown at us, and I think it's probably best if we get out of here. OK. All right. Well, what we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Yeah, we're being pelted by stuff. Get a move on. Fine? OK. OK. Well, last time I was here, no one was filming us back, and there wasn't this kind of level of aggression that we see from some of them.
Right, well, can I just say, if anyone concerned or still concerned, Patrick is very much on his way home to London. So
you've had confirmation, you've had a message.
Confirmation, yes.
Safe and sound.
Safe and sound.
Did get a bit hairy there at some point.
It got a little bit hairy there. They weren't best pleased to be asked questions, were they? Refusing face blank to speak to him on this occasion. Mark's with us because it's a bit of a... Mark White, that is, our Home and Security editor, because... It's a coincidence today. David Lammy is announcing all of this, that he's going to make the names of people smugglers and other people involved in the trade public. He's going to put these sanctions on them. He's going to freeze their assets and all of this. Do we have the power to do so?
Well, we certainly have the power to put our own sanctions on individuals. Before we get to that, though, we've got a bit of breaking news relating to Patrick's filming of yesterday. It's like a tropical storm, Hurricane Patrick. It blows in, stirs things up and heads back out and leaves certainly some kind of action, because we can confirm that the French police have raided one of the migrant camps that Patrick visited in Calais yesterday. And something similar happened after his last visit as well, with the authorities, it seemed, being sort of stirred into some kind of action and went in and raided one of the sites that Patrick had filmed in the last time as well. So we can confirm. You should have images, I think, of the police going into that migrant camp in Calais. We don't have those images, no? There you go. So you can see it's just a short shot that one of our sources has been able to get for us, but a group of police officers going in to raid that migrant camp near Calais. I mean, it's not uncommon, we should say, for the French police to go into migrant camps. There's lots of criminality happens in these camps as well.
Well, so this was one of the open-air camps with under the trees that he was in. Yes, very interesting.
Well, thank you very much indeed for bringing us that, Mark. We should say that a Home Office spokesman has said we want to end dangerous small boat crossings which fuel organised criminal activity, put vulnerable lives at risk and undermine the security of our borders. We're determined to tackle the gangs behind the trade, and our law enforcement agencies have delivered dozens of high-impact disruptions against them in the past year.
OK, yes, we are going to go to Nigel Farage, who joins us live from Wales, Reform UK leader, of course. Nigel, just before we get on to your big announcement today of the defection from the Conservatives, just your thoughts on what we saw last night with Patrick Christie's in Calais, being able to essentially meet up with these people smugglers quite easily, Nigel.
Well, look, well done, Patrick. I mean, it's brilliant journalism. But I have to say, it's very brave journalism. A lot of these traffickers now carry guns. There have been a couple of murders in those camps that have taken part in the last in the last month. And for Patrick, a British journalist, to go in and confront a trafficker face on like that, he's either very brave or very stupid, or a bit of both. But it's brilliant journalism.
Right, we should return to what is happening now in Wales, of course, because you now have a sitting member of the Senedd. Of course, Reform has had no representation in that Welsh Parliament until this point. But I suppose some people will be asking, given that this is another defection of a long-serving Conservative politician, why does Reform seem to be able to pick up so many people with blue rosettes, and we haven't really seen any sort of senior parliamentary level of Labour defections?
Well, we've had plenty of Labour defections around the country, you know, at council level. We even had a couple of Lib Dems join us, which did surprise me. Look, you know, we're putting together a big campaign for the May elections here next year, and we're doing very well at the moment. We've got great talent joining us, and you know, Laura Ann Jones joining us today is somebody that understands how the place works. She's a woman of considerable political passion. And so we're delighted to have her on board. We really are. And I mean, look, you know, after next May, after the Scottish and Welsh elections, I do not think that the Conservative Party will still exist as a national political party. So there'll be lots of people from the Conservative Party that want to join us. That doesn't mean we'll take all of them, I can assure you.
Are you expecting more defections in Wales?
Yes, I am actually. But look, as I say, if people are coming to Reform because they see it simply as the best life raft for their political careers, then I'm not interested. But if they're coming to Reform because they really believe in what we're trying to do, they really believe that our country is in deep and desperate trouble and it needs to be turned around, and they want to be part of that project, and they're coming to us ads, then the door is open.
Now, of course, in the run-up to these elections, both in Wales and in Scotland, there'll be a considerable amount of media attention. There'll be a lot of candidates that you need to find. The number of Welsh Assembly members, or Senedd members, I should say, has gone up from 60 to 96 this time around. Lots of people to find. But also, I think I'm right in saying you don't have a leader in Wales? Who will be representing the Welsh Reform Party, Reform Cymru, in those televised debates in Wales? Who will be representing the Scottish Party in those televised debates in Scotland? Will it be you every single time?
Look, we haven't been around for 200 years, all right? You know, we effectively have just come through the start-up phase, and we're now moving on to the next level. My answer to your questions is all in good time. I can see there are talented people coming forwards that want to be involved with reform in Wales, in Scotland, and, you know, as time goes by, a Welsh leader of the party will emerge. We're not ready yet, but we will be.
Nigel, are you and Sarah Pochin picking on female police officers? Sarah Pochin saying she'd prefer to see a strapping male police officer. You saying as well that we need physically more fit police officers on our streets. Under reform, if reform win the next election, will there be fewer female police officers? Will they be in the back office jobs?
I can't comment on how Sarah Pochin feels about big strapping male police officers. All I will say is that police officers, be they male or female, have got to meet the right standard. And I think it's a commonly accepted view that there have been quite a lot of police officers on streets across the United Kingdom who frankly wouldn't frighten anyone. And yes, I do use that word fear. I know I've been criticised for it, but I do think a police force having a presence on the streets, I want criminals to fear them.
So we need big, strong women police officers if we're going to have female police officers.
They can be... Look, I'm not going to judge whether they're big, strong women or big, strong men, all right? It doesn't matter. I just feel that the standards we used to have, from physical standards from police officers, are nowhere near what they were. And I know the police forces have been absolutely poisoned by the DEI agenda. I mentioned yesterday a chap in his late 20s, non-commissioned officer in the Grenadier Guards, done 2 tours of Afghanistan, one of which they took casualties, the equivalent to Normandy, back in 1944. This guy applied to join a county police force, but was told, sorry, come back next year, because we haven't filled up all our quotas. That is the wrong approach to policing.
Just quickly, you want to hire tens of thousands more police officers. And as far as I've seen from your costings, you want to take a lot of the money for this out of the HS2 budget, a one-time capital spend, and the rest is coming out of what you claim would be net zero spending. Have I got that right?
Yes, I mean, they are 2 of the means by which this can be funded. But, you know, if the cost of an ambitious project to halve crime across the lifetime of the next Parliament...
Do you not see an issue there?
Costs. It's
With a capital spend, like a one-time capital spend for HS2 being spent on a recurring spend, like police officers' salaries every single year, is that not a bit of funny maths going on?
No, I don't believe it is for a moment. And by the way, please don't talk about maths when it comes to the other parties. I mean, look at what the Conservatives did to the deficit during their time. And Rachel Reeves's sums, another set of borrowing figures out today, which is catastrophically out. No, look, we cannot afford not to get law and order, crime and policing sorted. We are going through, in many parts of our country, particularly in some of our big cities, a level of societal decline that is frankly terrifying.
OK, well, Nigel Farage, thank you very much indeed for your time this afternoon. Enjoy your time in Wales.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. We've got lots more coming up.
We might be the favourite, but we have to be at our very, very best to win the game.
Yes, the England ladies' boss, Serena Wiegmann, is hoping her team can beat Italy in the Euros semi-final tonight. So come on, those Lionesses.
But after the break, Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch is mid-reshuffle as we speak of her shadow cabinet, just in the nick of time for the summer recess. All the latest appointments we'll bring to you as we get them.
Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For many, a fairly grey summer's day out there, a lot of cloud around, but signs of it brightening up in a few places, a little bit of sunshine poking through, but there are also going to be some showers, maybe even one or two heavy ones later on. Low pressure is in control, sitting just to the north of Scotland. Old weather fronts providing some light rain and drizzle, especially over the Midlands, southeast England, staying fairly damp in western Scotland. Some showers for Northern Ireland, some breaks in the cloud, bit of sunshine poking through, maybe lifting the temperatures into the low 20s, 23, 24 possible across the southeast. Many areas close to the average, so high teens, low 20s. Come this afternoon and into this evening, one or two heavy, even thundery showers could break out, most likely over parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. Staying pretty damp on the west coast of Scotland, but we'll see, as I say, the cloud breaking up in a few places to reveal a little bit of sunshine here and there. Not a lot of that on offer across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here with some showers. As I mentioned, parts of northeast England, particularly east and North Yorkshire, could see some heavy, even thundery showers during the afternoon and into the evening. And there'll be a fair scattering of showers coming and going across Wales and southwest England too. Overnight, we'll continue with a lot of clouds. Some heavy showers could break out over the Midlands and South Wales too. Might see a downpour here. Elsewhere, the showers tending to ease. We'll see maybe a few more breaks developing in the cloud as temperatures dip into the low teens. On to Wednesday, again, a lot of cloud for most places, but should see some sunny spells coming through. And again, some heavy showers, most likely tomorrow over parts of East Anglia and southern counties of England. During the afternoon, the potential for a few lively thunderstorms that could drop a lot of rain. A sprinkling of showers for central and southern Scotland, but generally a drier day over the Midlands and parts of Wales. And again, temperatures high teens or low 20s.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M4 westbound at junction 42, Earlswood, the road remains closed due to planned maintenance, with diversions in place. In Hampshire, an incident involving multiple vehicles on the M3 westbound between junction 5 and junction 6 has led to the closure of one lane, expected to clear by 2:45 this afternoon. And the trains are also facing disruptions today. Chiltern Railways is experiencing disruption through Harrow-on-the-Hill, and Hull Trains has a reduced service due to industrial action. Stay informed by visiting our website for more travel news. Go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 20-1, and Sir James Cleverly is expected to make a return to frontline politics as the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, reshuffles her shadow cabinet.
Yes, so James Cleverly, the former Home Secretary, hasn't actually been on the Conservative front bench since Kemi Badenoch beat him and the Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick in the party's leadership contest.
But what exactly is going to happen, and frankly, will anyone care? Well, joining us is the former Conservative MP, Paul Scully. Paul, it's a difficult task for the Leader of the Opposition, of course. It always is after a party loses an election. Few people want to listen. Will shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic make much difference?
Possibly, but you know, and I'm not fudging it because you're absolutely right when you talk about the fact that nobody wants to listen at this moment in time to the Conservatives. We know the last election wasn't about, hey, let's have a great Labour government coming in, like it partly was in '97. This is all about a punishment beating for the Conservative Party. Keir Starmer's there because he's not a Conservative, rather than having any great plan. And so now, if you see the rumours about James Cleverly, I think that could be a really smart move. Especially, I'm just reading it might be housing, but that's again the joy of X, Twitter. Because why? Because he actually talks really well. He's popular amongst young Conservatives. I think he can speak well to young people in general, and especially with aspirational stuff around housing. He's got a big challenge to make there about changing the Conservatives' slightly NIMBYist view in certain parts of the Conservative Party, as you well know.
Yeah, I mean, the criticism might be from some quarters that he's a bit of a centrist and that you don't know exactly where he stands on certain issues. I don't think he's ever been in favour of, for example, leaving the European Court of Human Rights. Is he a tough voice? Does he fit in with some of the others, including Kemi and Robert Jenrick?
Yeah, he does, because the problem, if you're going to be in opposition, you can't just sit there and shout from the sidelines. I know Nigel Farage is doing that well. He's playing a particular role as reform, and he's still got a long way to move to being Nigel Farage, the voice of opposition for so many years, and to Nigel Farage, the potential Prime Minister. But the Conservatives have had that track record, and I think James is a pragmatist. I've known him for many, many years. He's a pragmatist. He will do what works, not just necessarily what's popular. Where the Conservatives went wrong, they did stuff that was unpopular and was wrong.
Won't there be a bit of a conflict, though, between him and Kemi Badenoch on things like net zero? I mean, he's spoken out very recently about how it's all Luddites who are anti-net zero and this and that. I mean, Kemi Badenoch has been very, very, very sceptical about net zero targets, hasn't she?
Yeah, and this is where it does become confusing, because in opposition you need to be really clear. But net zero, actually, I think if you're actually getting towards net zero by not penalising people for their bills and using technological advances, then great. If you're going down the puritanical Ed Miliband view, then no, it's not a good idea. There's a bit of nuance that we've got to iron out to get a clear message.
I should just say, breaking in the last few minutes, according to Tim Shipman, a very well plugged-in journalist who's just recently moved from the Sunday Times to the Spectator, he's been saying that Nigel Huddleston is out as Conservative Party chairman, replaced by Kevin Holinrake. Nigel Huddleston will become Shadow Secretary of State for Digital Culture, Media and Sport. And Ed Argar is no longer the Shadow Health Secretary, and that will be Stuart Andrew, moving from Shadow DCMS to the Health Brief. That is all according to Tim Shipman there from The Spectator, but a very well plugged-in journalist. So just sort of moving people almost from within the cabinet, from one shadow cabinet, from one job to another, rather than bringing up any sort of new names from the 2024 intake.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too early for 2024, because I think there's a lot of people precariously in their seats and they need to bed in and just try and do the local thing rather than trying to run. But it's interesting because, I understand this was all led by Ed Argar resigning because of personal health reasons. And so that's what's brought on the mini reshuffle in the first place. And if you've got Nigel Huddleston coming into DCMS, he was there as a junior minister when I was doing the opposite job in business. And he's actually really qualified from his background working from Google beforehand. Got Kevin Holinrake's proved really well on media over the last few months since being in opposition. So there's many roles a chairman needs to take, but being that sort of attack dog is one of them, and you'll do that really well.
OK, well, Paul Scully, former Conservative MP, thank you very much indeed for your time. I mean, the thing is, those three names, Nigel Huddleston, Edward Argar, Kevin Holinrake. I mean, how many of you at home know these guys very well?
Kevin Holinrake's done a bit of media more recently.
He's probably the most noticeable.
You even forgot Stuart Andrew.
Oh, sorry, Stuart Andrew, yes. Do you know Stuart Andrew at home?
Well,
I don't mean to be rude. It's just that, you need some big names to shuffle around if you're going to have a big reshuffle. And
you do.
James Cleverly is the only big name so far, really.
Although everyone's a small name until they become a big name. I suppose it'll be interesting to see how these people... are they going to be putting out viral videos like Robert Jenrick? Are they going to be
They should have made names for themselves already, though, shouldn't they, Tom?
Perhaps.
They've been around for a while, these lot.
Well, we'll have to
Don't mean to be
wait
rude,
and see.
But you've got to make some noise if you're doing so badly in the polling.
I think that is one of the big things, right? I mean, how many people, as Paul was saying, as I think a lot of people have been sort of impugning, I mean, how many people are even listening to the people who are in these jobs, let alone who is in those jobs in the first place?
Also, I do think Kemi Badenoch and James Cleverly disagree on more than they agree on when it comes to key policy issues, but we'll find out, won't we?
Certainly
Perhaps
will.
it's a match made in heaven.
We don't yet know which role James Cleverly is going to take on.
Could he be deputy leader? The Angela Rayner.
Balancing the party.
Angela Rayner versus James Cleverly?
I think we do know. I think he was going to do housing, wasn't he?
Oh, right. Well, that's what Paul Scully suggested. We'll find out more. Anyway, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the travel forecast.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's going to stay sunny across much of southern Europe this week, increasingly hot in Greece, but rather windy at times for Portugal and the Canaries. It's often windy for the Canary Islands at this time of year, but it's even more so for the next few days. Likewise for Portugal. Plenty of sunshine, however, through Iberia, a lot of showers through the Pyrenees and southern France. Italy, largely fine across much of the country, but we've got the heat building in Greece, temperatures inland up to 43 Celsius.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 10 to 1. Now, for the first time in over 30 years, the world-famous tall ships races have arrived in Scotland.
Yes, the event is expected to attract 400,000 visits to the Granite City in Aberdeen. So, Tony Maguire, our Scotland reporter, is in Aberdeen for us. Now, this has been on for a couple of days, hasn't it? This is the climax of the events.
Yes, good afternoon. This is very much the climax. This is the Parade of Sail, they call it, where after 4 days in Aberdeen Harbour, the ships all hoist the sails and the crowds. We've had something like 400,000 visitors to Edinburgh to hear and see the ships, and it's very much been touted as the biggest event in the Scottish tourism calendar of this year. Now, what are we talking about here? Well, 42 ships have been docked in Aberdeen Harbour over the last few days. They arrived on Friday, and of course they're departing today. It's been a spectacular event for all concerned. People from Aberdeen extremely excited, but it has has attracted crowds from much further afield. Now, since arriving Aberdeen, the ships and the crews have managed to dodge everything from yellow warning thunderstorms to the debilitating heat that was seen here over the weekend. But I spoke to race director earlier on today, Magda Mikowski, who explained to me why Aberdeen was such a very special stop-off in the 2025 Tall Ships race. Now, I will say as well that over the course of today we've been really blessed with quite a lot of access to some of these ships. We were those ships earlier on, the Shabab Oman, which is an incredible 120 metres. I had to just make sure with the captain that was metres, not feet, and indeed that wasn't even the biggest ship that was in here. You know, here in GBNews we talk quite a lot about the small ships, the small boats, should I say. Well, today is very different. Today we're all about the big boats, the tall ships, which are now departing Aberdeen in the Parade of Sail.
Oh, those vessels are absolutely majestic.
They certainly
beautiful.
are.
So serene looking to look at. Tony Maguire, thank you so much. We'll speak to you a little bit later on. Catch up, see how the boats are doing.
It does make you sort of wistful for the age of sail.
It does, doesn't it?
When Britain ruled the waves.
Yes. Would you rather a sailing boat or a motor yacht?
Probably.
If you could sail.
I can sail.
Oh, well, there you go.
I've got qualifications in sailing. I
tried it once and I just kept being hit by the boom.
Oh dear, no, you got to duck.
Yeah, I didn't
Make
duck.
sure you duck.
I just knocked myself out.
Jive-ho. Well, we'll be having much more on Good Afternoon Britain after these few messages, including latest on the Goom Gangs.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For many, a fairly grey summer's day out there, a lot of cloud around, but signs of it brightening up in a few places, a little bit of sunshine poking through, but there are also going to be some showers, maybe even one or two heavy ones later on. Low pressure is in control, sitting just to the north of Scotland. Old weather fronts providing some light rain and drizzle, especially over the Midlands, southeast England, staying fairly damp in western Scotland. Some showers for Northern Ireland, some breaks in the cloud, bit of sunshine poking through, maybe lifting the temperatures into the low 20s, 23, 24 possible across the southeast. Many areas close to the average, so high teens, low 20s. Come this afternoon and into this evening, one or two heavy, even thundery showers could break out, most likely over parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. Staying pretty damp on the west coast of Scotland, but we'll see, as I say, the cloud breaking up in a few places to reveal a little bit of sunshine here and there. Not a lot of that on offer across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here with some showers. As I mentioned, parts of northeast England, particularly east and North Yorkshire, could see some heavy, even thundery showers during the afternoon and into the evening. And there'll be a fair scattering of showers coming and going across Wales and southwest England too. Overnight, we'll continue with a lot of clouds. Some heavy showers could break out over the Midlands and South Wales too. Might see a downpour here. Elsewhere, the showers tending to ease. We'll see maybe a few more breaks developing in the cloud as temperatures dip into the low teens. On to Wednesday, again, a lot of cloud for most places, but should see some sunny spells coming through. And again, some heavy showers, most likely tomorrow over parts of East Anglia and southern counties of England. During the afternoon, the potential for a few lively thunderstorms that could drop a lot of rain. A sprinkling of showers for central and southern Scotland, but generally a drier day over the Midlands and parts of Wales. And again, temperatures high teens or low 20s.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 093 225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Allergy practitioner Dr. Claire Anyamasigwe joins us now. Good to see you this morning.
Very good.
Does the hot weather necessarily mean more pollen?
It does. It actually accelerates the issue. So you've got pollen from the trees, from the grass, you've got pollution, and now you've got the heat wave as well. So that concoction flares up the skin, especially around the nostrils. We're streaming, we're sniffling, we're itching our eyes. So for me, as an allergist, my practice is about advocating for plant-based antihistamines. So I think the prep starts the night before. You're washing the clothes that you've worn the night, during the day, so you're not bringing pollen into the home. You are eating quercetin-rich ingredients like leeks, garlic, kale. So you can make yourself a lovely soup. I would say use them together. If you are somebody that already eats quercetin-rich foods in your diet, you're doing a more plant-based diet, then you're ahead of the game. But if you're not and you've suddenly been hit this week, 26 Celsius is going higher every day. 16 million of us are suffering with hay fever. 3.4 million of that have hay fever and asthma. So for those sufferers, they're looking for a solution right now. I would combine the two. I would start changing my diet to match what I've suggested, and I would also do what your GP suggests.
Do any of these things, if you take them year in, year out, do they lessen do they have an impact over time and you become less reactive to pollen?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm really advocating for children. If we can get parents watching this to start children with natural raw honey, so find out about your local beekeepers, start spreading your natural jams.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It's 1 o'clock on Tuesday, the 22nd of July. I'm Emily Carver.
And I'm Tom Harwood.
Well, the government announces a raft of new measures it claims will help smash the gangs. But after small boat crossings rose by almost 50% in the first half of this year, does anyone trust this government to get a grip?
And we can confirm that the French police have moved in to raid a migrant camp where Patrick Christys was filming just yesterday.
Yes, there's some of those images of Patrick Christys with those migrants in that migrant camp, which, as Mark says, has now been raided.
You are a human trafficker, aren't you?
Are there?
Yes. Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? So if you have a look just quickly, right?
Now, breaking news from the Conservative Party. Yes, Kemi Badenoch is mid-reshuffle of her shadow cabinet, just in the nick of time for summer recess. We're going to bring you all the latest appointments.
James Cleverly in as Housing Secretary, Kevin Hollingray, the new party chairman, Stuart Andrew in at Health. Kemi Badenoch shuffles the pack 8 months after becoming leader.
Elsewhere, some breaking news. A husband who stabbed his wife to death as she pushed a pram is jailed for life. More on that later.
And Sir Keir Starmer has insisted that there's lots of housing available for both the homeless and also for migrants and asylum seekers.
I'd much rather see a great big strapping male police officer with a female. But female police officers are incredibly...
Feel comfortable if there were two female trained police officers.
I think they look vulnerable. But, that's just my opinion.
That's the Reform Member of Parliament, Sarah Pochin, saying female officers should be deployed to more sensitive situations after female officers have been hurt in recent incidents. Does this prove a point?
And Cabinet War leaks reveal the Chancellor has slapped down the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner's attempts to give cash-strapped councils the power to charge tourist taxes. Is this yet more damaging leaking?
We might be the favourite, but we have to be at our very, very best to win the game.
And England ladies boss Serena Wiegmann is hoping her team can beat Italy in the Euros semi-final tonight. It's all getting very exciting for those football lovers amongst us, so come on those Lionesses.
I don't know about you, but I am 100% convinced that Tom Harwood is a massive Lionesses fan and will be watching glued to the screen this evening.
I do occasionally watch. I've never seen a football game in real life. I've seen a rugby game. No, I've seen a rugby game. I've seen a cricket game. I've never seen a football game.
You've never been to a football match?
No.
Mark White's in the corner over there. You can't see him. He's off screen and he's raising an eyebrow.
I've been to a boat race. Well, I've been to many boat races.
Of course, you've been to the boat races.
Been to the cricket, been to the rugby, just never the football.
Oh, you've been to all the posh sports.
Oh, I don't know. You can call them that. I think they're for everyone. I've been to the polo.
Have you been to the croquet championships?
I haven't. I did used to play croquet on my grandmother's lawn, though.
Oh, we're hearing a lot about Tom's childhood. Any other sports? A little bit of clay pigeon shooting?
I actually have done. I'm actually quite good at clay pigeon shooting. Down with the people is our Tom. No, I've never done real shooting though of sort of birds and things.
Well, before you kick the bucket, I think you should go to a football match.
I think I'll take you to one. I probably should. I've been to Wembley. I never played it growing up.
I've been to Old Trafford.
Really?
Yeah, I've been all over the place. I've seen international matches too.
Is there still time to get tickets to the Lionesses game tonight?
There possibly is, yes. If you're willing to pay...
In Switzerland, I've just been told in my ear.
But if you're willing to pay, you'll get there in time.
Right. Maybe not this.
Well, if we get through to the final, we'll go together, Tom. Anyway, gbnews.com/your say. Lots of very important things to talk about too, but it is your headlines.
Hi there, very good afternoon to you. Our headlines coming up here on the GB Newsroom. A man who murdered his wife as she pushed their 7-month-old baby in a pram has been jailed for life with a minimum of 28 years. Kosama Akhtar died after Habibur Masum stalked her to a women's refuge in Bradford and attacked her in broad daylight. Passing sentence, Mr Justice Cotter described it as a vicious and merciless attack.
It can be properly described as violent, self-centred, jealous, controlling and coercive, with a firmly held view that your wife was not your equal and should do what you told her to do. You stole a precious young life in a brutal and merciless fashion.
Sir James Cleverly is making a return to frontline politics as the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, has reshuffled her shadow cabinet. He's been named as the new Housing Secretary. Kevin Holyrick, who previously held that role, will move to be the Tory chair now. Sir James Cleverly hasn't been on the front bench since Kemi Badenoch beat him and the Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick in the party's leadership contest. The government will begin imposing sanctions on those involved in helping migrants come to the UK, including gang leaders, corrupt officials and fake passport dealers. Individuals and companies are expected to be hit with asset freezes, travel bans and restrictions. Companies selling small boat equipment and those helping to facilitate money transfers will also be hit. Anyone sanctioned could be publicly named, and it would then become illegal for UK businesses and banks to do business with them. The Foreign Secretary David Lammy says they're determined to tackle the gangs.
It's going after the men in suits that sit behind this evil trade. It's going after those who engage in providing fake passports, those who provide the dinghies, the engines, the enablers, the accountants, the lawyers. And tomorrow, when you see those designations, you will see them span jurisdictions. You will see individuals named, public officials, for example, who behave corruptly to prosecute this trade. We are using our sanction regime and encouraging others in Europe and the G7 to join us to bear down on this illegal trade.
Israel has rejected criticism of its treatment of civilians in Gaza by the UK and 27 other countries as being disconnected from reality. A joint statement from the UK, France and Canada, amongst others, has accused the country of its unacceptable military conduct in Gaza. It's demanding Israel lift restrictions on the flow of aid and bring an immediate end to the war. UNRWA, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees estimates 1,000 starving people have been reported killed seeking food since the end of May. The UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has warned the last lifelines keeping people alive are collapsing.
Over the weekend in Gaza, we saw yet more mass shootings and killings of people seeking UN aid for their families. An atrocious and inhumane act which I utterly condemn. We need an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
The driver of a bus that crashed into a bridge in Manchester, injuring 20 people, has been arrested. The double-decker collided with the Bridgewater Canal aqueduct in Eccles. The roof of the bus was torn off and one passenger was ejected. 3 people remain in hospital in serious but stable condition. The driver, a man in his 50s, was arrested on suspicion of causing serious injury by careless driving and has since been bailed. Police have confirmed the body found in a lake in Cheshire on Monday is that of the missing mother Rachel Booth. The 38-year-old was last seen on CCTV at a petrol station in the early hours of Saturday morning. Her body was found in a lake near a popular beauty spot in the Oakmere area of Delamere. Police say Rachel's family are being supported by specialist officers. Ministers are set to make substantial changes to the compensation scheme for victims of the infected blood scandal. It means more people will qualify and some will be able to claim higher payments. Around 30,000 people were infected with HIV, hepatitis B or C across 2 decades up to the early 90s after being given contaminated blood in the NHS. A report published 2 weeks ago was highly critical of the current system, saying victims had been further harmed by failures in the compensation scheme. And finally, it's many happy returns to Prince George, who celebrates his 12th birthday today. Kensington Palace have released this photograph to mark the occasion. He is, of course, the eldest child of Prince William and Princess Catherine, and second in line to the throne. Those are your latest headlines. I'll be back with more at 1:30.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
Well, let's get you up to date with the markets. Then the pound will buy you $1.34. Will buy you €1.15. Gold will cost £2,515.95 per ounce, and the FTSE 100 trading at 2,515 points.
My Claim Group sponsors the GB News Finance Report.
OK, good afternoon, Britain. It's 1:10. Now, as it continues in its efforts to smash the gangs, yes, the government is launching a major crackdown on people smugglers.
Well, under the new plans announced by the Foreign Secretary, those involved in assisting or organising illegal immigration to the UK will face a series of sanctions, including travel bans and asset freezes.
Now, this comes as GB News' Patrick Christie's conducted an undercover sting operation aimed at exposing the true scale of Britain's migrant crisis.
We've been given a location to meet a human trafficker, and we are on our way there now. We are 16 minutes away. There's a lot of people. I mean, maybe they're meeting him as well, really. Bear in mind how brazen this guy is, right? So he puts his WhatsApp phone number on TikTok. He's not afraid of the law. He doesn't care. He's not afraid of getting caught. Hello. How are you? Are you okay? You've sent me a location to say I should meet you here.
No speak English.
You don't speak English. It's just you spoke English when you messaged me before, didn't you? They are the human traffickers who are bringing people across. We're going to hand all of this over to the French police and see if anything can be done about it. Another human trafficker has sent me a live location, which is just a few hundred metres down this road. Someone who works with me will come and pick you up, give him €1,500 so you can go on this trip. He's also sent a voice note.
Okay, Batra Habibi, 10 minutes coming, my friend.
Okay.
Okay.
I I'm Patrick Christie's. I'm from GB News. And you are a human trafficker, aren't you?
Are there?
Yes. Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? You know, when people die in the Channel, do you feel any kind of conscience about that at all? Do you feel bad about that at all? Or not? No? You don't? No? All right, we're going to have to get out of here. We just had glass bottles thrown at us. So, that's that. OK, well, yeah, we just had a glass bottles thrown at us, and I think it's probably best if we get out of here. OK. All right. Well, what we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Yeah, we're being pelted by stuff. Get a move on, get a move on. Fine? OK. Oh. OK. Well, last time I was here, no one was filming us back, and there wasn't this kind of level of aggression that we see from some of them.
We should say that Patrick Christie's has been found alive and well and is on his way back to the United Kingdom.
He's arrived.
He's arrived back now.
In the United Kingdom, yes,
there
on the shores of
By boat?
Dover. Channel Tunnel.
Oh, OK, that's the safer way to come. Well, there is a lot to talk about here.
That was a joke.
It was.
Yes, he actually had to show his passport.
Well, it's a rarity these days. But joining us is our Home and Security editor, Mark White, because there is some news relating to some of these migrant camps.
Yeah, there's no doubt when Patrick goes over there, it has an effect, because we have seen evidence that police have raided one of the camps in Calais that Patrick was filming in yesterday. I think we've got some shots. It's just a short shot that we've obtained from one of those camps in Calais, but that shows a number of police officers going into the camp itself, just in the wooded area there. Now, it's not uncommon for the police to go into these camps. There's a lot of criminality that takes place in the migrant camps as well, but clearly coming just hours after Patrick visited them. I think it's no coincidence that you're seeing those officers in there, and something similar happened the last time Patrick was out and filming in those camps as well, when we saw police visiting those camps shortly after and clearing them out. So it's clearly having some kind of an effect.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see, isn't it? Because Patrick filmed as well outside the police station, went in there with the material that they had, the pictures of the faces of some of these smugglers, these traffickers, brought them to the French authorities. Patrick said that they seemed pretty, happy to receive this information. But I suppose, I don't know if this raid is off that intelligence or whether it's just from seeing it presented on the news in Britain.
Yeah, well, look, it's certainly possible. The individuals that Patrick was pursuing are what's described as burner boys. So they are co-opted by the people smugglers within the camps to act as their middlemen to meet potential migrants like Patrick, who obviously wasn't a migrant, but as far as they were concerned, they believed he was.
He wasn't Patrick from Vietnam, Mark.
and the scarf, certainly
genius
was
disguise.
A great disguise.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those individuals, as I say, that's the job that they do in the camps for the people smugglers. So if there are images of any individual on camera, then that's evidence. And of course, they're committing crimes by being intrinsically involved in the people smuggling operations. So I'm sure the police, having received that kind of information, will be acting on it. So it's possible that the raids this morning in the camp are connected to the evidence handed over.
OK, well, Mark White, thanks indeed for bringing us that latest news there. A migrant camp now being raided. Yes, it's very interesting. We'll get some more reaction on this with the political commentator and podcaster Andrew Gold. Andrew, thank you very much. I'm hoping you've seen some of the content, some of the reports from Calais from yesterday with Patrick. It's quite shocking, isn't it, really, just to see the scale of this problem and how little seems to be done about this people smuggling, about this trade, and so
hope that perhaps David Lammy's announcements today about how they're going to take down the names of all of these people, how they're going to sanction them, freeze their assets, etc., is going to work?
Well, firstly, I should say hello. And also, hello. Patrick is just brilliant, isn't he? I mean, Patrick, he could be... Right, I love Louis Theroux. But Louis doesn't go into those kinds of places, not anymore. And he's never dealt with those kinds of things that could make him unpopular. So I have, hat off to Patrick. What a brilliant video. And he's one of the best people out there doing this. And it looks like he's making real difference. I think nothing's really going to change from this. What we need is countries to come to agreements. And we have that 17-to-1 in and out policy. I mean, it was actually 1-to-1. But it seems like how it's going to work with France is that it's going to be 17 come in for every one that leaves. We need to make this country, I suppose, hostile for those who want to come into it illegally. I lived in Argentina for many years, and I lived by their laws, and I made sure I did everything legally. And if ever there came a point where they said to me, "You've got to get out," I would get out. And that's how it has to be, especially for people who are coming from countries that are not violent and are not dangerous, such as France. So, no, I don't think that, stopping the gangs, it's something, it's not nothing, but it's really not going to get us anywhere closer to stopping thousands and thousands of people coming over.
Yeah, it does seem that there is almost a sort of displacement activity going on. The idea that if you can close down one gang, that will stop a number of boats, as if there isn't a demand there to come across. Sometimes when I hear politicians talk about this, they almost talk as if these people are being people trafficked against their will into the United Kingdom. And the gangs, the nefarious gangs, are organising this entire operation. But the gangs are just responding to the market demand of people who want to come over. The many thousands of people who are camping out in Calais just waiting for the next opportunity to come. I mean, if one gang gets destroyed, surely another gang will pop up to fulfill that market demand.
I think so. I mean, Greece is saying at the moment that they're going to arrest anybody who comes in and they're not going to give them asylum in the country. We seem to make people wait in these luxurious hotels and then give them residency eventually. So why wouldn't they all become? And as you say, as long as there's the demand, there will be a supply, there will be a chain. I think some of this, I mean, a lot of the British people are against this, but some of this, as we know, politics is downstream of culture. And there are endless radio shows that are not GB News and are not Talk TV and my podcast and things like that, who won't name the problem. And the problem is that there are people coming in their thousands and thousands from cultures that are very different from our own. And you even see, I mean, I was on LBC the other day, and I really like Ian Dale. He's a very empathetic, lovely man. But he was having a go at this woman. You might have seen it. It was a viral clip, and he was saying to her, oh, well, what's wrong with Afghani culture? What's wrong with the culture over there in all of these things? And I just thought, well, let's first name what we think our culture is, because nobody seems to be able to do that. Let's name what it is. Let's try and put our heads together and say, what do we believe in? And we don't believe in, selling young boys to dance for adult men. We don't believe in grooming gangs. We don't believe in what is it? 20 times higher the rate of sexual offence committed by Afghanistani immigrants in the UK than native Brits or whatever you might call it. Those are things we don't believe in and are not part of our culture. So I think one thing we need to do is to start incentivising radio hosts and TV hosts from mainstream channels to start actually talking and not patronising their viewers.
Yeah, the cultural relativism is just well, it's just absurd. I thought we'd kind of moved away from that in the wokeness Overton window. But anyway, Andrew Gold, really appreciate your time on this. Thank you very much indeed. Political commentator and podcaster, host of the Heretics podcast.
Well, we should say that the Home Office has been in touch, saying we all want to end dangerous small boat crossings which fuel organised criminal activity but put vulnerable lives at risk and undermine the security of our borders. We are determined to tackle the gangs behind that trade, and our law enforcement agencies have delivered dozens of high-impact disruptions against them in the past year.
Right, well, let's head to Downing Street now to speak to our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, who's just left a briefing with the Prime Minister's spokesperson, I believe. Catherine, tell us, what are the government saying on this issue today?
Yes, well, the promise, of course, a year ago was to smash the gangs. The numbers are up 50% on this time last year. They were keen to stress that they're pretty much throwing everything at this. So they say. They were talking about the deals that they've recently done with France, with Germany. Of course, none of those have actually kicked in yet. And I said, look, you know, you might say there's no silver bullet, but you've had a year to get on top of this. The numbers are going in the wrong direction. I said, what would be your end of year grades that you would give yourself for achievement and effort? You won't be amazed to know that they didn't want to answer that. They batted it away. But look, I think this was the last lunchtime lobby briefing of this sort of parliamentary year. And what really struck me was what came out of Cabinet, because Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, has been doing a lot of work on social cohesion, and there was a lot of conversation about that. Now, we are, of course, coming up to the anniversary of those horrendous riots following the murders of the little girls in Southport. Now, last year, when all that was happening, the Prime Minister was labelling people far right. Again, at the beginning of the year with the grooming gangs, the Prime Minister used the phrase far right bandwagon. There has been now a total change, I would say, in tone. The government is not doing that at all. It's saying people's concerns are legitimate and that the government has got to address them. So talking about where those riots were last year, they say that 17 of the 18 areas that saw riots were some of the most deprived areas of the country, and that deindustrialization, globalization, tech changes, immigration, they specifically mentioned immigration too, are factors, and that the government is going to need to act on people's concerns. We asked how worried they were about further unrest this year. They clearly are concerned about that. So a shift in tone, a recognition of people's concerns being genuine, but of course how you address those concerns and how you find answers for these issues, well, that's another matter.
Yeah, they're being confronted with the reality that there is a lot of issues out there. Catherine Forster, thank you very much indeed, political correspondent there. We are going to talk to Christopher Hope as well, because there's a big shadow cabinet reshuffle going on in the Conservative Party. Christopher, what do we know so far?
Tom, well, that person on screen now, just moments ago, was Sir James Cleverly. He is the new shadow Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government. Shadowing that person, Angela Rayner, of course, someone tipped by many to be the successor to Sir Keir Starmer at some point. We're told by the Tories he'll take the fight to Labour on housing, where the Tories say that the Labour have slashed housing targets for London, and he'll focus on bread and butter Tory causes like keeping council tax low. I find it interesting they're saying he'll be focused on London, because he is tipped by some as at some point maybe being the Tory candidate in the next London mayoral election. But for now, he's the Housing Secretary, the new Housing Secretary. Kevin Hollingrake, he's in as a new party chairman. He'll be fighting alongside Tory councillors and exposing what the party says is inept Labour and Reform councils. And also he'll hold the government to account on Islamophobia, this new definition which is coming this autumn. Stuart Andrew, he's moved from culture to health. He's now the Shadow Health Secretary. Earlier today we were told it was going to be, I was told, going to be Julia Lopez. That wasn't confirmed by the Tory party, but things are movable in any reshuffle. Now we know it's going to be Stuart Andrew. He's previously worked for the British Heart Foundation. He'll take the fight to the Labour Party on the issue of doctors' strikes, which will be happening on Wes Streeting's watch, and also, I imagine, looking at the issue of productivity. Are we getting our bang for our buck for that investment and all that tax money raised last year for the NHS? And just very finally, Nigel Huddleston, the former party chairman, he is now at Culture, Media and Sport, replacing Stuart Andrew there, so he'll be there. He was a DCMS minister during the pandemic. That's what we know so far. The full reshuffle later today. Stay tuned to GB News.
Thank you very much, Christopher. Christopher Hope there, our political editor, bringing us the latest from that Tory reshuffle. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. We've got lots more coming up.
Yes, breaking news. A husband who stabbed his wife to death as she pushed a pram is jailed for life. More on that later.
But after the break, Sir Keir Starmer, he insisted yesterday there's a lot of housing available to accommodate both the rising number of homeless people in this country and also migrants and asylum seekers.
GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Dubes & Co. Weekdays from 6 p.m.
You have to tackle gross levels of inequality. Now, this is not about being... it's not about fairness or the politics of envy. It's about saying we need more money in average people's pockets so they can go out and spend. What's happening is a lot of people are spending all their money on rent and mortgages.
Rich people and give it to poorer people.
Yeah, but obviously, when I say rich, who do you imagine?
No, well, I don't know, because I'm not proposing it. You tell me.
So for me, I'm not talking about those who've done quite well, those who've grown their businesses. I'm talking about the billionaire class and the corporations. Oh. And I don't want to look at increasing income taxes necessarily. It should be about a wealth tax, because if we don't do anything about it, it's going to get worse. Now, what's interesting what you said about benefits, I know there's this pervasive idea. I just want to make that point quickly.
Finish this point. She's about to spontaneously combust, but hang on. Go on, finish your point.
There is this pervasive idea that, well, we need to cut benefits to force people into work. And you can understand the logic there. It makes sense, right? What's interesting is in Denmark, they have a higher labour rate of participation, which a fancy phrase of more working age people are in work than the UK. In 2022, it was like 80%, 2024, 75%. Look at the UK, only 53% of people in work, yet Denmark have a far higher or far generous welfare state.
Well, we've had a lot of cheap labour that has come in, which that's taken the levels of earnings down at times, and that's left...
I disagree with that.
Well, just let me finish. And that's left a lot of people who already live here, basically lounging on the sofa and thinking, well, my benefits are great, why should I get out of bed? Why should I get out of bed for another 20 quid a week? And we've got to get rid of that mentality, because it's the same people
You're using
anecdotes
here. You're not looking at the facts.
People
I've told you the
who seem to be contributing to this economy year in and year out, and a lot of them are actually older.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 1:30. Now, Sir Keir Starmer insists there's lots of housing available for both homeless and asylum seekers.
Yes, the liaison committee yesterday put it to the Prime Minister that local councils looking to house both the homeless and homeless families were competing with the Home Office, which is seeking to house asylum seekers at the same time.
Well, here's what the Prime Minister had to say when grilled.
What other accommodation precisely are you planning to take over to provide temporary accommodation for families?
Oh, there's lots of housing in many local authorities that can be used, and we're identifying where it can be used. But I mean, look...
sorry, could you give us... have you got any examples you can give us?
No, but I'll write in and give you details.
Because I could say, certainly in a number of our local authorities, I'm already picking up from around the table, there isn't a lot of spare housing available. If there were, councils would be able to be dealing with it by now.
Well, exactly, which is why leaving a huge tens of thousands of unprocessed asylum seekers that need to be housed is a huge problem for this government.
You'll be putting homeless families into those hotels?
No. We're looking at what accommodation is available, and I'll make sure that we send a detailed letter.
OK, well, we certainly look forward to receiving that detailed note. I'm sure councils will be breathless waiting for it.
Not great, is it?
Absolutely forensic there from Meg Hillier, the chair of both the Treasury Select Committee and the Liaison Committee, as we were seeing there. I mean, Prime Minister floundering a little bit.
A little bit. Shall we speak to the former Labour MP, Lord Steve McCabe, on this? Steve, it takes a very quick Google search to find out what the social housing lists are like in this country. And apparently there are 1.3 million households waiting for accommodation. I mean, what is Keir Starmer talking about?
Well, I think he was talking about two things. I think he was, one, saying that there have to be a range of measures to deal with asylum seekers, and that is what the government are working on at the moment. And I think he was also suggesting that all local authorities have to play an equal part in dealing with homelessness problems. For example, I mean, Meg Hillier is a London MP. She'll know as well as me that many London authorities don't play their full part in housing homeless. That's why they export so many homeless people to places like Birmingham.
Yeah, but because of the migrant crisis, partly in the Channel, we need more. We don't just need for homeless, we need for people who've just arrived on these shores illegally.
Well, as I say, I think we need a variety of different measures. Some people should go to reception camps, some should go to reception centres, some should be addressed through offshore processing. This is not something that's going to be dealt by one single
But that's not happening,
answer.
is it, Steve McCabe? That's not what's happening. When people are coming over here, they're being put in the system and immediately put up in hotel accommodation or in a military barrack to then be given private accommodation. No one's going into a detention centre.
Well, I said a reception centre, and I think what the Prime Minister was trying to say is he wants to see a full range of measures deployed. But look, I mean, it's easy to tell us, and I'm not suggesting there is not a homeless problem, but I mean, these figures of 1.3 million, I don't know when these lists were last reviewed, but I do know that a report just a couple of months ago looking at a few authorities in London found 50,000 ghost tenancies, people who'd been allocated social housing because they claimed to be homeless and who were then renting it out on things like Airbnb. It's estimated it's costing us about £1 billion a year for that kind of fraud alone.
I mean, that is a new statistic to my ears. But, of course, the Labour Party campaigned during the election to great effect, talking about the housing shortage in this country. I mean, compared to the average developed European country, we're 4 million homes short. Compared to France, we're about 6 million homes short per person. I mean, this is an extraordinary comparison to these other countries. We just haven't built enough homes. The Labour Party got elected on the basis of reforming planning, taking a bulldozer to those planning restrictions to build those more homes. And yet, just last week, in the House of Lords, in the legislative chamber in which you sit, the government tabled amendments to its own planning and infrastructure bill that will water down the reforms to make it easier to build things like homes or new infrastructure, that will put more roadblocks in the way to getting that stuff built. I mean, this is a government that is U-turning on one of its signature economic pledges.
Well, you might have noticed that the government has suffered a number of defeats in the House of Lords at the hands of the Tory party. Of course, we're having to compromise on some of the legislation, but the faster that legislation goes through, the faster that spurious attempts to block housing development by seeking judicial reviews and other measures, the better the chances we are going to have of making some progress.
But the new amendment that the government tabled gives powers to an unaccountable quango called Natural England to block more development.
Well, what we're trying to do is actually find a simple process to deal with legitimate concerns and complaints without the whole thing dragging through the legal process for a very lengthy time, costing a great deal of taxpayers' money and preventing housing development.
OK, well, Steve McCabe, Lord Steve McCabe, thank you very much indeed. A former Labour MP as well. Thank you for your time. I mean, there is a question of priorities. There's always a question of resources. You know, who should be at the top of the list, the British homeless or refugees?
Well, and frankly, given that there is very little being built in this country, neither at the moment.
No one
is the answer.
And there's 36,000 households just in London waiting for accommodation. Anyway, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up. Yes, a cabinet war leaks reveal the Chancellor has slapped down Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner's attempts to give cash-strapped councils the power to charge tourist taxes. There seems to be a lot of damaging leaking going on, doesn't there?
But after the break.
I'd much rather see a great big strapping male police officer with a female, but female police officers are incredibly...
Don't feel comfortable if there were two female trained police officers?
I think they look vulnerable, but, you know, that's just my opinion.
Yes, Reform MP Sarah Pochin says that female officers should be deployed to more sensitive situations after female officers have been hurt in recent incidents. Does she have a point? That's after your news.
Good afternoon to you. Our headlines. Sir James Cleverly has returned to frontline politics as the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch reshuffles her shadow cabinet. He'll go up against Angela Rayner as the Shadow Housing Secretary, having previously served in government as the Foreign and Home Secretary. The man who murdered his wife as she pushed their 7-month-old baby in a pram has been jailed for life with a minimum of 28 years. The justice described Habibur Massim as violent, self-centred, jealous, controlling and coercive. The government is to impose sanctions on people who help migrants come to the UK. The measures will target gang leaders, corrupt police officers, companies selling small boat equipment, and those helping to facilitate money transfers. Police have confirmed the body found in a lake in Cheshire on Monday is that of missing mother Rachel Booth. The 38-year-old was last seen on CCTV in a petrol station in the early hours of Saturday morning. And the government signed a deal with OpenAI to explore the use of its advanced systems in areas like justice, security and education. The agreement with the firm behind ChatGPT comes after a similar deal was signed with Google. Those are your headlines. More from me at the top of the hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For many, a fairly grey summer's day out there, a lot of cloud around, but signs of it brightening up in a few places, a little bit of sunshine poking through, but there are also going to be some showers, maybe even one or two heavy ones later on. Low pressure is in control, sitting just to the north of Scotland. Old weather fronts providing some light rain and drizzle, especially over the Midlands, southeast England, staying fairly damp in western Scotland. Some showers for Northern Ireland, some breaks in the cloud, bit of sunshine poking through, maybe lifting the temperatures into the low 20s, 23, 24 possible across the southeast. Many areas close to the average, so high teens, low 20s. Come this afternoon and into this evening, one or two heavy, even thundery showers could break out, most likely over parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. Staying pretty damp on the west coast of Scotland, but we'll see, as I say, the cloud breaking up in a few places to reveal a little bit of sunshine here and there. Not a lot of that on offer across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here with some showers. As I mentioned, parts of northeast England, particularly east and North Yorkshire, could see some heavy, even thundery showers during the afternoon and into the evening. And there'll be a fair scattering of showers coming and going across Wales and southwest England too. Overnight, we'll continue with a lot of clouds. Some heavy showers could break out over the Midlands and South Wales too. Might see a downpour here. Elsewhere, the showers tending to ease. We'll see maybe a few more breaks developing in the cloud as temperatures dip into the low teens. On to Wednesday, again, a lot of cloud for most places, but should see some sunny spells coming through. And again, some heavy showers, most likely tomorrow over parts of East Anglia and southern counties of England. During the afternoon, the potential for a few lively thunderstorms that could drop a lot of rain. A sprinkling of showers for central and southern Scotland, but generally a drier day over the Midlands and parts of Wales. And again, temperatures high teens or low 20s.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. A road traffic collision on the M3 westbound between junctions 5 and 6 in Hampshire has closed one of 3 lanes. Passengers driving westbound on the M4 face delays due to a road closure at junction 42 in Earlswood for planned maintenance, with diversions in place. Suffolk's A14 eastbound between junction 55, Copdock, and junction 56. Ipswich Docks faces about 10-minute delays due to congestion. Normal traffic conditions are expected by mid-afternoon. And on the trains, Hull Trains operate a reduced service due to industrial action, with disruption noted between Aberdeen and Inverness. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Well, good afternoon, Britain. It is now 1:41 in the afternoon, and the Reform politician MP Sarah Pochin has created a stir after making these comments about female police officers.
I'd much rather see a great big strapping male police officer with a female, but female police officers are incredibly...
don't feel comfortable if there were two female trained police officers?
I think they look vulnerable, but, you know, that's just my opinion. All I'm saying is I think that we do need to be aware of our police being able to protect us. That's what they're there for. But there's 100% a place for women police officers. We need them to go out to certain, perhaps more sensitive situations, situations where children are involved, situations where battered wives are involved or battered girlfriends.
Great big strapping male police officer. What an image, eh?
Gosh, well, those comments came after Pochin's party leader Nigel Farage said he'd recruit a physically tougher standard of police officer. But are the newest Reform MP Sarah Pochin's comments about female officers fair?
Well, to help us answer that question is the Surrey Police and Crime Commissioner, Lisa Townsend. Lisa, of course, this is an opinion. Everyone has one. People will see female officers and judge as they wish. But what do you think? Do you think this is a bit harsh?
Good afternoon. I think it is. I think it's more than harsh. I think it's actually quite offensive. I mean, she does say it's her opinion. It's not clear whether this is a policy that is backed by Reform or backed by her leader. It's never quite clear whether the Reform policies are shared by all of their MPs. But it is quite offensive, really, and quite rightly. There's been quite a backlash on social media about it. Sarah Pochin is obviously not aware, for example, of the fantastic police constable Marissa in my own constituency in Surrey. In Surrey's police force, who was nominated for the National Police Bravery Awards recently. I attended the ceremony a couple of weeks ago for being the first officer to respond to the 999 call following a man wielding a large knife in a town centre in Surrey. Now, Marissa was the first person there with her police dog Ella, and she very ably dealt with the situation. So the idea that we need female police officers, and it's interesting, of course, it's not that long ago. I only remember sort of 4 years ago, unfortunately, after the tragic death that we saw in Clapham Common, where people were saying that they didn't want to see male police officers out and about. So I appreciate that opinions change and these things come and go. And I welcome anybody who's prepared to think seriously about policing, to give these things some serious thought. I don't think that that's what this is. I don't think Sarah Pochin has given her considerations or her views any serious thought on this, because of course police officers and female police officers can do the job. And what they're not prepared to do, and nor should they, is to go back to the 1950s where they're just dealing with, women and children. This idea that that's what women's work is. That's not.
Of course not. But is there a point there where you have sometimes criminals who are 6'3" and nothing but brawn and very little brain, and when you have a physically smaller police officer trying to arrest just a giant of a man, you can't help but think, hang on, this is an inappropriate deployment.
I think that's a really interesting point, actually, and I've been out quite a lot with police officers, particularly on Friday and Saturday nights. I'm out and about in town centres right across Surrey. And what's always really, really interesting to me, and we see it particularly at this time of year, the weather's nicer, the days are longer, people are out drinking in sort of pubs and clubs and bars. And when you get a fight in a pub, and we know they happen, and as you said yourself, they're often more brawn than brain. When you see those fights start, actually, the thing that the first time I saw it, I was quite awed and really, really impressed by it. It was a very small police officer walking into a bar in Surrey near Reigate, and you just watch the temperature go right down. All these big, brawny men who were all ready to have a fight. One of them had a bottle in their hand, was clearly ready to aim it at somebody. Just suddenly start to de-escalate. And that's something that I've seen female police officers do, actually, in a way that big male police officers can't do. I don't know whether it's testosterone. I'm not an expert in this.
But that's when those men are receptive to a female or respectful of women. I mean, we know that a lot of our criminals on the streets, waving machetes around, aren't exactly respectful towards women.
No, they're not. And yet here is a female police officer in both instances, you know, who've been able to go in and de-escalate that situation, to deal with the situation. I've seen female police officers, and you don't have to go very far to find stories of this, brilliant stories of this, absolutely managed to tackle men to the ground and arrest them. So this idea that anybody should feel less safe with female police officers as opposed to male police officers, all police officers right across our country are doing a fantastic job. They take themselves a huge amount of abuse, both physical and verbal, for doing so. And what we, as politicians, what they deserve from us is our complete respect and support, not coming out, giving vacuous opinions. For some reason, we don't feel safe with female police officers. I think it's a really irresponsible thing to say. I think it's offensive to female police officers. I think it's offensive to their families, to their parents of the female police officers who are out there every day. And it's offensive actually to their male colleagues who know full well if they're out there with a female police officer or there are 2 female police officers out there, they're doing bloody brilliant
I
job.
think some people just want their police officers to be intimidating, and when you've got a 5'2" woman, they may not be as intimidating as the 6'4", what did she say, strapping male police officer. I think that's fair for people to have that opinion, but yes, her comments may not be that helpful for the police in general. But Lisa Townsend, thank you very much indeed, Surrey Police and Crime Commissioner.
Well, lots still
I want your
come.
thoughts on that one.
Absolutely, gbnews.com/your say. But in the meantime, let's get the travel weather.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's going to stay sunny across much of southern Europe this week, increasingly hot in Greece, but rather windy at times for Portugal and the Canaries. It's often windy for the Canary Islands at this time of year, but it's even more so over the next few days. Likewise for Portugal. Plenty of sunshine, however, through Iberia, a lot of showers through the Pyrenees and southern France. Italy, largely fine across much of the country, but we've got the heat building in Greece, temperatures inland up to 43 Celsius.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sunday mornings from 9:30.
She left office 35 years ago, which seems incredible.
God, that makes me feel really old. I remember being at school when she was deposed.
Oh, that makes me feel really old, because I was way beyond school.
Well, I was 47 yesterday, so...
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Carry on.
So there are 3 generations that have grown up that weren't alive when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister. And there are so many myths that have built up about her that... and part of the reason I wrote it was because my personal trainer, I broke my hip 2 years ago.
Yes.
So I had to get a personal trainer to the rehab. And he's 25, or was then. And when he found out what I did for a living, he said, well, Margaret Thatcher, I've heard of her, but who was she? What did she do? He didn't even know she'd been Prime Minister. And I was like slightly horrified by this. So this is really aimed at those generations. You can't tell every aspect of her life in a book that size, but it really is an introduction to her. And the first sentence says, if you've read Charles Moore's 3-volume biography of her, please stop here. This book is not for you.
No.
So
it's an
it covers most of the
introduction to
important
her.
things.
And by the way, maybe that revelation by your PT does ask questions about the national curriculum and history teaching. They should do a section, shouldn't they, on our first female Prime Minister, arguably. But what's the challenge then when you're writing somebody's life up? I mean, and what a life she led.
Well, I found out that it's much more difficult to write a short book than a long book, because you really do have to be concise. I was told I had 30,000 words. I said, well, that's a pamphlet, not a book. So I stretched it to 45,000. But normally a biography would be 120, 150,000 words. So it really was quite a challenge to condense it all. And what do you leave out? I mean, I wasn't going to do a chapter on Northern Ireland, but as I was writing it, I thought, no, you can't do that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five.
You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight on the
Unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
How can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 10 to 2. Now, the murderer Habiba Masum has been jailed for life after stabbing his wife to death as she pushed their baby in a pram through central Bradford last year.
Yes, it's now emerged they both travelled to the UK in 2022 after Masum obtained a student visa and enrolled on a master's course.
Well, in his sentencing remarks, Mr Justice Cotter described him as jealous and controlling.
I'm sure that you can be properly described as violent, self-centred, jealous, controlling and coercive, with a firmly held view that your wife was not your equal and should do what you told her to do. You stole a precious young life in a brutal and merciless fashion because of your self-interest and refusal to accept Kulsuma's right to a life free from your violence and controlling behaviour. You have shown no real remorse, only self-pity. For the murder of Kulsuma Akhtar, I sentence you to life imprisonment.
Just an absolutely hideous case. Joining us now is GB News reporter Anna Riley to tell us more. Anna, what do we know about this incident then?
Well, it was here at Bradford Crown Court that Masum was given that sentence. He must serve a minimum term of 28 years for the murder of his estranged wife, Kulsuma Akhtar. She suffered 26 knife injuries after Masum found her through her phone location and contacted her. He found her, confronted her in a street in Bradford as she pushed their 7-month-old baby in a pram on April the 6th. Last year. Last month it was a jury that found Masum guilty of murder alongside 1 count of assault, making threats to kill and 1 charge of stalking. Now, after this horrific and horrendous attack, Masum went on the run. He was involved in a 4-day manhunt and he was arrested 150 miles away from Bradford, where the attack took place, in Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire. That was where he lived when he and Kulsuma first came to the UK from Bangladesh in 2022. Masum was in Britain under a student visa and he was in Buckinghamshire to study marketing. Now, as part of that visa, it expired on the 20th of June this year, but it means that Masum must serve a minimum of 28 years before the Home Office can get involved and decide whether or not to deport Masum back to Bangladesh. He'd already pleaded guilty to manslaughter and possession of a knife, but denied murder, claiming that he had intended to kill himself in front of his wife, but totally lost control. At the time of the murder, Masum was under bail conditions to stay away from Kulsuma due to previously holding a knife to her throat. But the court previously heard that he launched the ferocious attack on her after tracing her to a women's refuge in Bradford, where she went to escape his violence, jealousy and controlling behaviour. Kulsuma's family described her as having the biggest smile and spoke of her friendly and kind nature. And it was outside the court after the sentence that the family's victim impact statement was read by West Yorkshire Police Family Liaison Officer Detective Tracy Boucher.
We will never forgive the monster who took Kulsuma from us. We do not wish to utter his name. It does not deserve to be mentioned. The monster who savagely took Kulsuma not only from us, but also from her baby son. He will never know her beauty and her kindness. He will never know his mother, other than the memories we as a family will share with him as he grows. He's the only light in all this darkness, and Kulsuma radiates throughout him.
Kulsama's family also said that she did not deserve what she had experienced at the hands of Massam, and they said that her death, for them, will be their life sentence.
Absolutely shocking. 28 years in prison, 50k a year it costs the taxpayer. That's £1.4 million.
Anna Riley, thanks so much for bringing us that story. That's it for this hour, but do stay with us on Good Afternoon Britain. At the next hour, we'll bring you the very latest on the ongoing migrant crisis. That's after these short messages.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Tuesday, the 22nd of July. I'm Tom Hart.
And I'm Emily Carver.
Now, the government announces a raft of new measures it claims will smash the gangs, finally. But after the small boat crossings rose by almost 50% so far this year, does anyone trust the government to get a grip?
Well, after Patrick Christie's exclusive in Cali yesterday, we can confirm that one of the camps Patrick was filming in has been raided by French police today.
Yes, that investigation from Patrick Christie's airing on GB News last night, exposing the scale of the migrant crisis.
You are a human trafficker, aren't you?
Are there?
Yes. Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? So if you have a look quickly, just quickly, right?
Well, in other news, the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, is mid-reshuffle of her shadow cabinet, just in the nick of time for summer recess. We'll bring you all the latest appointments.
8 months into her time as Tory leader, she reshuffles her front bench. Is she panicking about Nigel Farage and reform?
Elsewhere, supporters of a highly controversial plan to set appropriate limits to free speech about Muslims has been given up to £2.6 million by the government of your money to police and monitor what they call Islamophobia. Our very own Charlie Peters has the story.
And in other news, the Royal Welsh Show is underway today as farmers share their challenges after the government chose to hike inheritance tax on family farms.
Yeah, over 200,000 people are expected to visit here over the next few days, and we'll be hearing from the farmers directly about the challenges that threaten their livelihoods.
Now, these migrant crossings have risen by 50% since the Labour Party came into office.
They have.
And yet we hear almost on a weekly basis that there's a new initiative, that there's a new policy that will finally smash those gangs. The first, it was the French are supposed to be going out into deeper water, then it was supposed to be one in, one out, then it was supposed to be terror powers given to investigators to get these gang leaders. Now we're going to be publishing the names and freezing the assets of gang leaders. And yet we're seeing these numbers continue to rise.
I don't get the publishing of the names. It's not like they're going to be shamed, is it, by being named? I don't suppose. They seem pretty brazen to me, but perhaps that might be helpful. But don't you remember, during the election campaign, we had Yvette Cooper on the show a few times, the now Home Secretary. And her position appeared to be, and now correct me if I'm remembering this wrong, appeared to be, we're going to work harder than the Conservatives.
Yeah,
that was
to
the plan.
deport people quicker. Yeah.
That was the plan. We're going to just simply work harder. No need for a deterrent like Rwanda, of course. That was one of the first things the government did when they came into power. Scrap that, axe that. We're going to work harder, and that will be enough.
Right.
Well, what's happened is the numbers have gone up, so forgive me if I'm not too confident.
Yeah, they seem to be fair to the government, they do say that deportations have gone up. The number of people being deported from this country is the highest that it's been for a long time. But the people being deported aren't small boat migrants.
Well, thank goodness for that. But otherwise you would have had a big row with me there.
Well, the people that are being deported often are voluntary people who have been given money by the government and get on a plane and go off. So the government has all of these figures saying, look, the highest deportations that the country has seen in a decade. But when it comes to those small boat migrants, they haven't been able, they've run into the same problems that the last government ran into, which is you try and make a deportation deal with the Taliban.
Yeah.
You try and make one with...
Well, the Germans have. The Germans have sent people back to the Taliban. What? And also, if the Greeks are going to be able to detain and deport, which is what they're saying they're going to do, then it's not all about the ECHR, is it?
Well, we're going to have this discussion with our Home and Security editor, Mark White, in just a moment. There is so much to get stuck into. Do have your say at gbnews.com/your say. All to come, though, after your latest news headlines.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you. Aaron Armstrong here in the GB Newsroom. Our top stories. The Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, has brought back her leadership rival, Sir James Cleverly, as part of a reshuffle of her top team. He's been named as Shadow Housing Secretary and now will go up against Angela Rayner. Mr Cleverly, who previously served in government as the Foreign and Home Secretary, replaces Kevin Hollingrake, who moves to become Conservative Party chairman. A man who murdered his wife as she pushed their 7-month-old baby in a pram has been jailed for life with a minimum term of 28 years. Kulsama Akhtar died after 27-year-old Habibur Masum stalked her to a women's refuge in Bradford and attacked her in the city centre last April. She suffered more than 25 knife injuries. The Home Office will now assess if Masum, who's from Bangladesh, could be deported 36 before the minimum term ends. In sentencing, Mr Justice Barry Cotter described it as a vicious and merciless attack.
It can be properly described as violent, self-centred, jealous, controlling and coercive, with a firmly held view that your wife was not your equal and should do what you told her to do. You stole a precious young life in a brutal and merciless fashion.
The government will begin imposing sanctions on those involved in helping migrants come to the UK this week, including gang leaders, corrupt officials and fake passport dealers. Individuals and companies are expected to be hit with asset freezes, travel bans and restrictions. Companies selling small boat equipment and those helping to facilitate money transfers will also be hit. Anyone sanctioned could be publicly named, and it would be illegal for UK businesses and banks to deal with them. David Lammy said
it's going after the men in suits that sit behind this evil trade. It's going after those who engage in providing fake passports, those who provide the dinghies, the engines, the enablers, the accountants, the lawyers. And tomorrow, when you see those designations, you will see them span jurisdictions. You will see individuals named, public officials, for example, who behave corruptly to prosecute this trade. We are using our sanction regime and encouraging others in Europe and the G7 to join us to bear down on this illegal trade.
The Gaza Health Ministry says 33 people, including 12 children, have died of malnutrition over the past 48 hours. These stark figures come after Britain joined 27 other countries in accusing Israel of drip-feeding aid to starving Palestinians, which Israel has rejected as being disconnected from reality. Now, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees estimates 1,000 starving people have been reported killed while seeking food aid since the end of May. The UN Secretary-General, Antonio Guterres, warned the last lifelines keeping people alive are collapsing.
Over the weekend in Gaza, we saw yet more mass shootings and killings of people seeking UN aid for their families. An atrocious and inhumane act which I utterly condemn. We need an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.
The driver of a bus that crashed into a bridge in Manchester, injuring 20 people, has been arrested. The double-decker collided with the Bridgewater Canal Aqueduct in Eccles. The roof of the bus was torn off and one passenger ejected. 3 people remain in hospital in a serious but stable condition. The driver, a man in his 50s, was arrested on suspicion of causing serious injury by careless driving and has since been bailed. Police have confirmed the body found in a lake in Cheshire on Monday is that of the missing mother, Rachel Booth. 38-year-old was last seen on CCTV. In the early hours of Saturday morning, her body was found in a lake near a popular beauty spot in the Oakmere area of Delamere. Police say Rachel's family are being supported by specialist officers. And it's emerged that Tony Blair was advised to delay the invasion of Iraq, according to newly released government files. The documents from the National Archives reveal how officials warned the then Prime Minister that George W. Bush was impatient for military intervention. Now, Blair tried to persuade Bush to wait for evidence of weapons of mass destruction or a UN resolution which would authorise an invasion. He was told George Bush sees his mission as ridding the world of evildoers, believing American values should be universal values. Those are your latest headlines. More from me in half an hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is 9 minutes past 2. Now, as it continues on its efforts to smash the gangs, the government is launching a major crackdown, so it says, on people smugglers.
I think we've heard this quite a lot, haven't we? But these new plans, announced by the Foreign Secretary David Lammy today, basically, under these plans, those involved in assisting and organising illegal immigration to the UK will face a series of sanctions, including travel bans and asset freezes, and they'll be publicly named.
Well, it all comes as GB News' Mr. Emily Carver conducted an undercover sting operation aimed at exposing the true scale of Britain's migrant crisis.
We've been given a location to meet a human trafficker, and we are on our way there now. We are 16 minutes away. There's a lot of people. I mean, maybe they're meeting him as well, really. Bear in mind how brazen this guy is, right? So he puts his WhatsApp phone number on TikTok. He's not afraid of the law. He doesn't care. He's not afraid of getting caught. Hello. How are you? Are you okay? You've sent me a location to say I should meet you here.
No speak English.
You don't speak English. It's just you spoke English when you messaged me before, didn't you? They are the human traffickers who are bringing people across. we're going to hand all of this over to the French police and see if anything can be done about it. Another human trafficker has sent me a live location, which is just a few hundred metres down this road. Someone who works with me will come and pick you up. Give him 1,500 euros so you can go on this trip. He's also sent a voice note.
Okay, Batra Habibi, 10 minutes coming, my friend. Okay.
I'm Patrick Christie's. I'm from GB News. And you are a human trafficker, aren't you? Yes. Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? Why are you bringing people illegally to Britain? You know, when people die in the Channel, do you feel any kind of conscience about that at all? Do you feel bad about that at all? Or not? No? You don't? No? All right, we're going to have to get out of here. We just had glass bottles thrown at us. So, that's that. OK, well, yeah, we just had a glass bottles thrown at us, and I think it's probably best if we get out of here. OK. All right. Well. Right, well, what we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Yeah, we're being pelted by stuff. Get a move on. Fine? OK. Oh. OK. Well, last time I was here, no one was filming us back, and there wasn't this kind of level of aggression that we see from some of them.
Well, there's some pretty concerning scenes. Delighted to report that Patrick Christie's is now back in this country on safe home turf.
Somewhere between Dover and London.
There we go. So maybe not all too safe. I know, you know, those roads are full of people in lorries
can we touch
and all
some
the rest
wood,
of it.
please?
Sorry, no, it's OK. Let's. No, he's absolutely fine. But like, a bit hairy out there.
A little bit hairy out there. Quite a lot of aggression, I would say. But let's speak to Mark White, because, Mark, it's had an impact.
Yes, clearly, I mean, there's concerns for those that Patrick meets rather than necessarily Patrick. He's fine. As you say, back safe and sound. But what we can confirm is that French police have raided one of the camps that Patrick was filming in Calais yesterday. I think we got some images off the camp there where you can see a group of police officers going into the wooded area where lots of the tents are. Now, we don't know the reason for this raid. They do happen from time to time as there is criminality within these camps. It's certainly possible that they may be acting on some of the intelligence that Patrick has given them, because obviously he's got some names, mobile phone numbers, faces of individuals that he interacted with and passed on to the French authorities. And what you'll find as well is that, you know, sometimes you get very big and organised police raids that dismantle these camps and tear them up. But, of course, within a week or two after that, then the NGOs, who Patrick again filmed yesterday, the charities involved in helping out these migrants, help them rebuild these camps, give them new tents, and get them set up again in very short order.
There was a certain irony, wasn't there, when one of the charity workers said that Patrick should be speaking French, considering, I imagine, he's more hospitable to those who are coming over who don't speak French or English. But there you go. Mark, David Lammy today, the Foreign Secretary, saying that some of these people who are working in the illegal immigration trade, the traffickers, the smugglers, etc., are going to be named publicly, and that assets and things are going to be frozen.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking at there, we should say, of images in Ramsgate at the weekend. That's not normally the port that you would land migrants on, but because of a protest, an anti-migration protest in Dover, they moved it to Ramsgate, and we saw the operation as a number of people were brought in to that particular port. But yeah, this sanctions package, the government hopes will have some effect. I think it might do, but I think it's likely to be disruptive rather than very significant in terms of the impact that it will have on people smuggling operations. Because yes, you can go after a dozen or two named individuals that you believe have been involved in facilitating migration across the English Channel. But the fact is there are many people willing to step in and fill the void anytime someone is taken out of the picture, because it is such a lucrative business.
It's a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah, Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, said the truth is you don't stop the Channel crossings by freezing a few bank accounts in Baghdad or slapping a travel ban on a dinghy dealer in Damascus. So that's what he had to say, which, you know, has a certain ring to it, but we shall see if it does have an impact. Mark White, thank you very much for now.
Now, we should say that a Home Office spokesman has been in touch, saying we all want to end dangerous small boat crossings which fuel organised crime activity, put vulnerable lives at risk and undermine the security of our borders. We're determined to tackle the gangs behind that trade, and our law enforcement agencies have delivered dozens of high-impact disruptions against them in the past year.
OK, well, in other news, Sir James Cleverly is back. He's returning to frontline politics as Kemi Badenoch's reshuffle continues.
Yes, the former Home Secretary hasn't been on the Conservative front bench since that leadership contest where he lost to both Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick. But now he'll be up against Angela Rayner as Shadow Housing Secretary. OK, well, joining us now is our political editor, Christopher Hope. Christopher, is this a wise move from Kemi Badenoch? What do you think?
Yes, I mean, it looks like she's recognising the fact she's stalled in the polls in third place behind Labour and behind Reform UK, and she's taking action here to bring back some of those big beasts from the back benches, notably the guy you see on camera now, James Cleverly there. He, of course, nearly won the leadership last year. He's been quiet on the back benches, although a few speeches recently made me think he wants to weigh back in. In the new role as Shadow Housing Secretary, he's got two jobs there. He takes on both the housing brief, trying to prove the Tories can actually commit to building more homes, having failed to do so properly in the 14 years in power, and also take on Angela Rayner, the elected deputy leader of the Labour Party, of course, the housing secretary. She is seen as a possible successor for Sir Keir Starmer. Also, we're told by the party he's expected to focus on housing targets in London. Now, I think he's tipped by me and by others to be a possible candidate to take on Sadiq Khan the next time the London mayoralty is up for grabs. That's why I think he's in that role. Other roles, Kevin Hollingray is now the Conservative Party chairman. Stuart Andrew, he's moved from Shadow Culture Secretary to Shadow Health Secretary, replacing the incumbent there, who's standing down for health reasons. And Nigel Huddleston is becoming the Shadow Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport. Of course, he was the party chairman. And also, moments ago, we've had confirmed that Neil O'Brien, who's made lots of ground opposing the government on areas like welfare, like people being paid not to be at work, and being quite a thorn in the side, I think, for the government. He is now the new Shadow Minister for Policy Renewal and Development, and he'll be working on the policy programme going into the party's conference in October. So he's the person who will hold the pen, possibly, on whether this party commits to withdrawing from the European Convention on Human Rights. We expect a result on that in the autumn. So gradually, Kemi Badenoch is changing her team, trying to take on the twin issues she's got: how to overhaul the lead that Reform has got in the polls, and how to oppose the government.
Well,
a big task indeed. Well, Christopher Hope, thanks indeed for explaining that all for us, but also setting up our next item, which is indeed to talk about that party that is leading the Conservative Party in the polls at the moment, Reform.
Yes, because Nigel Farage, he's been in Wales today, and he welcomed the defection of Welsh Senedd member Laura Jones to his party.
Well, this is what Nigel told us when we spoke to him earlier.
You know, after next May, after the Scottish and Welsh elections, I do not think that the Conservative Party will still exist as a national political party. So there'll be lots of people from the Conservative Party that want to join us. That doesn't mean we'll take all of them, I can assure you.
OK, well, to react to this all, we're joined by Labour councillor Sebastian Salek. Sebastian, thank you very much. That comment from Nigel Farage there was in response to the question of why are there so many Tory defections as opposed to Labour ones. Nigel did say that there have been a number on the lower levels, councillors and the like. But what are your thoughts on this threat in Wales?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it reflects too well on either party, really. Whether you're talking about the Tories or Reform, you've got to think about what message it sends to voters on either side. For the Tories, you're saying people are jumping off the ship. It doesn't look great. It shows panic, frankly, and I'm not surprised given where the Tories are in the polls in Wales, trailing the other three parties. For reform, they're getting the old Tory candidates, the Tory Senate members, the Tory other role holders who don't want to be there anymore. So it is reinforcing the message that if you vote reform, you get Tory. Really tricky one, hard one to manage, but it doesn't look great for both sides.
Something that political insiders talk about. But one of the remarkable things about the reform vote is that it tends to be people who are less engaged with politics, who might not even notice the defections or the parties that these defectors come from in the first place. Perhaps that's one of the reasons why reform in the polls for the Welsh Senedd, or at least those few polls that have been published so far, is currently ahead of the Labour Party.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing in general is a sense of a fracturing of politics. And in Wales, it's really a microcosm of what's happening in the rest of the country. People have started taking risks and started gambling. And we saw that with Brexit for the first time, happened again with Boris Johnson. And I think people are getting rather used to that way of living. Whether that will come to pass, we don't know. But you're seeing small candidates, independents, whoever popping up everywhere. And people are frankly giving it a go sometimes. What we haven't seen yet is that create any sort of meaningful coalition. Let's remember, in Westminster certainly, Labour has a massive majority. In Wales, Labour still running the Senedd, and those smaller parties are few and far between. For all the airtime we get from Nigel Farage and his gang, what are we on? 4 MPs? I lose count whether it's 4 or 5. But as an electoral force, currently much smaller than they perhaps seem given the media coverage they get.
Well, not according to the polls.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean it's true. There are only so many MPs that Reform has. Now, of course, that may change. We don't know. But the point I'm making is that the media coverage...
You accept the point, though, that public opinion has significantly shifted since July 2024?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I think it's becoming much more fractured, and I don't think it started in July 2024. I think this is a thread we've seen. If you go back far enough, it's coming off the back of the financial crisis. We first saw UKIP perform really well in 2014. That was 11 years ago. So I don't think this is a recent trend. I think it's a repeat of a cyclical trend that we've seen playing out for more than a decade.
Well, Sebastian Salek, thank you very much indeed. Labour councillor, good to speak to you. Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up.
Yes, a cabinet civil war. Leaks reveal that the Chancellor has slapped down Deputy PM's Angela Rayner's attempts to give cash-strapped councils a power to charge a tourist tax. So is this more damaging leaking and briefing from within the cabinet?
Well, after the break, supporters of a highly controversial plan to set appropriate limits to free speech about Muslims have been given up to $2.6 million by the government to police and monitor Islamophobia. Charlie Peters has the story.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain. We like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2:27. Now, supporters of a highly controversial plan to set appropriate limits to free speech about Muslims has been given up to £2.6 million by the government to police and monitor Islamophobia.
Yes, the British Muslim Trust has been awarded a £1 million a year contract by ministers to combat hate against Muslims.
Yes, the Trust, which only launched its website today, replaces the group Tell Mama, which had done the job for the last 13 years, but withdrew after what it called a smear campaign against it by Islamists in the far right.
Well, to tell us more about this slightly hard-to-follow story is our national reporter, Charlie Peters. Charlie, what's going on?
Well, the British Muslim Trust, it's brand new. It's replacing Tell Mama, who had been given the cash before to look into this issue. It's come in, but it's controversially been supported and is closely linked by the Aziz Foundation. Now, we found a statement by the foundation from 4 years ago where it said that the government's counter-extremism project, that is the Prevent programme, actively harms Muslims. Now, this did set off some alarm bells last night in Whitehall and in Parliament, with the Tory MP Nick Timothy saying that it was concerning that you had this new government-funded body looking into Islamophobia, while also saying that the government's counter-extremism project was actively harming Muslims. We also can reveal that the Aziz Foundation funded and supported the original APPG for British Muslims report calling for that highly restrictive legal definition of Islamophobia. So that's also linked to that body as well. Now, the Aziz Foundation funded report said that free speech and a supposed right to criticise Islam can result in nothing more than another subtle form of anti-Muslim racism.
A supposed right to criticise Islam?
Yes. And this same report, Tom, it also put the issue of grooming gangs in inverted commas and cited it as a real-life example of Islamophobia and racism. There's also another concern that's been raised with us about this new group called the British Muslim Trust. Its intended CEO, Akila Ahmed, she also sits on the British government group that is drawing up that definition of an official Islamophobia definition. Ahmed has previously said that a definition with legal power is required that could be implemented by the government and the police, which has been raised to us as a clear conflict of interest. Fiaz Magal, who used to run Tell Mama when it was being funded by the government, said to us that this was a clear conflict of interest. You have someone working on that definition, also now working for a government-funded group that pursues anti-Muslim racism. Now, Nick Timothy said the government awarding public money to an organisation that has attacked Prevent is concerning. He said that it's a pattern of Labour working with people it should be condemning, but a government spokesperson told us that Akhila Ahmed brings critical expertise and experience in an area and a commitment to improving experiences for Muslim communities. I've also got a statement from Akhila Ahmed she provided last night. She said that for too long, anti-Muslim hate has been under-recognised and under-reported. She said that this new trust, the British Muslim Trust, exists to change that by listening to communities, amplifying their voices and working with partners across society to ensure that no one is left to face hate alone. We are here to stand with victims and help shape a more inclusive and united Britain for all. One more thing I want to draw out about the Aziz Foundation. They've not responded to a request for comment from GB News so far, but they have also funded the Centre for Media Monitoring. That is the group that until this month was part of the Muslim Council of Britain, the group that's been boycotted by the government due to its hardline views for many years. The CFMM recently came under criticism from a report in Policy Exchange. After that, it has sought to distance itself from the Muslim Council of Britain, possibly due to the upcoming publication of that report. So lots of elements here. Tom, you're right to describe it as a slightly confusing story, but we have this new government organisation being funded by the government looking into anti-Muslim hate. The people funding it and supporting it have said that Prevent harms Muslims, the counter-extremism body. You've got this concern about conflict of interest with Akhila Ahmed and also the Aziz Foundation's links to the MCB. Lots of moving parts here.
So it's a question of the government not doing its due diligence, perhaps, on this particular group.
And the Aziz Foundation's links to that report, which described, quote-unquote, a supposed right to criticise Islam. I would have thought that in a liberal society one has an absolute right to criticise Islam or any other religion or ideology, be that philosophical or political.
Well, Tom, that 2018 report on that definition has caused a lot of trouble in hindsight for many Labour figures. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, part of that APPG, he sort of signed up to that definition. That came back to haunt him at the start of this year when the grooming gangs issue resurfaced, I think in part to this channel's coverage. It was put to him and many other Labour ministers, you're backing this definition. Lots of councils have adopted this definition, but it puts grooming gangs in inverted commas.
OK, well, Charlie Peters, thank you very much indeed. I believe we've got another statement here from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. They say the British Muslim Trust was appointed as the recipient of the Combating Hate Against Muslims Fund following a rigorous and transparent application process in which it was the highest scoring applicant.
Continued, Akhila Ahmed brings critical expertise and experience in this area and commitment to improving experiences for Muslim communities. The working group is independent and will provide independent evidence-based advice to ministers.
OK, well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. We've got lots more coming up. Yes, the Royal Welsh Show is underway as farmers share their challenges after the government decided to hike inheritance tax on family farms.
But after the break, it's a cabinet civil war. Leaks reveal that the Chancellor has slapped down the Deputy PM and her attempts to give cash-strapped councils the power to charge a tourist tax. So is this yet more damaging leaking and briefing within the cabinet?
Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For many, a fairly grey summer's day out there, a lot of cloud around, but signs of it brightening up in a few places, a little bit of sunshine poking through, but there are also going to be some showers, maybe even one or two heavy ones later on. Low pressure is in control, sitting just to the north of Scotland. Old weather fronts providing some light rain and drizzle, especially over the Midlands, southeast England, staying fairly damp in western Scotland. Some showers for Northern Ireland, some breaks in the cloud, bit of sunshine poking through, maybe lifting the temperatures into the low 20s, 23, 24 possible across the southeast. Many areas close to the average, so high teens, low 20s. Come this afternoon and into this evening, one or two heavy, even thundery showers could break out, most likely over parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. Staying pretty damp on the west coast of Scotland, but we'll see, as I say, the cloud breaking up in a few places to reveal a little bit of sunshine here and there. Not a lot of that on offer across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here with some showers. As I mentioned, parts of northeast England, particularly east and North Yorkshire, could see some heavy, even thundery showers during the afternoon and into the evening. And there'll be a fair scattering of showers coming and going across Wales and southwest England too. Overnight, we'll continue with a lot of clouds. Some heavy showers could break out over the Midlands and South Wales too. Might see a downpour here. Elsewhere, the showers tending to ease. We'll see maybe a few more breaks developing in the cloud as temperatures dip into the low teens. On to Wednesday, again, a lot of cloud for most places, but should see some sunny spells coming through. And again, some heavy showers, most likely tomorrow over parts of East Anglia and southern counties of England. During the afternoon, the potential for a few lively thunderstorms that could drop a lot of rain. A sprinkling of showers for central and southern Scotland, but generally a drier day over the Midlands and parts of Wales. And again, temperatures high teens or low 20s.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Maintenance work fully closes the M4 westbound at junction 42 Earlswood, with diversions in place. There's a traffic incident on the M1 northbound between junction 37 and 38, closing 2 of 3 lanes and causing up to 40-minute delays. A collision on the M1 northbound entry slip at junction 29A results in lane closures in Derbyshire. Exercise caution. A vehicle fire on the M56 westbound exit slip at junction 10 has all lanes shut. And on the trains, Hull trains face reduced services due to industrial action, while ScotRail replaces trains with buses between Inverness and Kyle of Lochalsh. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 37 minutes past 2. Now, a man accused of assaulting a police officer at Manchester Airport has denied his use of force was unlawful. Mohammed Ahmad has alleged that he is alleged to have used a high level of violence against PC Zachary Marsden after he and 2 female colleagues tried to arrest his brother Mohammed Fahir Ahmaz. Well, Ahmaz is alleged to have assaulted PC Marsden and the 2 female officers. He's also accused the earlier assault of a member of the public at a coffee shop in the airport. Both men from Rochdale deny the allegations. Well, let's go through it now with our reporter, Jack Carson.
Yeah, thank you. The cross-examination of Mr. Ahmad, who was in the witness box yesterday, continued today with Mr. Birkby for the prosecution, continuing to ask his questions around Mr. Ahmad's accounts of the events. It was put to him this morning whether he accepted that the reason he stopped allegedly punching PC Marsden was because he saw his mother there next to him. He said no, it was the fact that no one was holding me. We were shown CCTV of the incident at the pay station, which appears to show Mr. Ahmad's mother pulling and holding onto his shirt. It was suggested in his account yesterday, Mr. Ahmad, that said that he had felt pulling on his shirt, and the prosecution put it to Mr. Ahmad that actually, did he know that actually that was his mother? Mr. Ahmad said he had not realised at the time that his mother was there next to him and to the side of him, and only now, looking back at CCTV, had he realised and understood that. He turned on to the injury that Mr. Ahmad's mother seemed to have from the incidents at that pay station, and the prosecution put it to Mr. Ahmad that whether he accepted that the injury to the left side of his mother's face may have been caused by a collision between Mr. Ahmad's right arm and elbow. Mr. Ahmad told jurors today that that was false, that he believed the injuries were caused by PC Marsden, who he said punched my mum in the face with a taser. The prosecution put it to Mr. Ahmad that his actions at that pay station were offensive and not defensive. That was a point at which Mr. Ahmad disagreed. We were asked in court, the prosecution asked in court, whether Mr. Ahmad had had time to reflect on all of the footage that we'd seen during the course of the trial and whether there was anything about his behaviour that he would change. The defendant replied no. Mr. Birkby then came on to the point at which he was in his police interview after being taken into custody. Mr. Ahmad agreed with the prosecution's examinations that he could have told police that he was acting in self-defence of his brother and himself. And Mr. Birkby put it to Mr. Ahmad that the reason he did not do that was because at that stage he had not made it up. The defendant replied that that was all incorrect, and that at that stage he said he was terrified. He said, "I am in a police station. I've never been there before." He told the the jury, "I didn't sleep, my chest was hurting, I was terrified." Now, in the re-examinations from his defence counsel, he agreed that he didn't know that the police had been called to the Starbucks. He said he didn't make any connection between what had happened at the Starbucks and then what was happening at the pay station. And when asked whether he felt like he was under attack, he replied, "Absolutely." We also heard character references for Mr. Ahmad as the defence closed their case, which we heard from members who gave character references that Mr. Ahmad's philanthropic nature stemmed from a genuine care for people. He was also called in those references a man of honour. The trial at Liverpool Crown Court continues.
Well, Jack Carson, thanks for bringing us all of that detail. An absolutely fascinating trial there. We're going to jump back to politics now, because there's a civil war at the heart of the government, or at least that's what it appears. Has there been briefing internally between the Deputy Prime Minister and the Chancellor? Well, let's speak to our political correspondent, Catherine Forster, on this one. Interesting to find internal discussions of the government plastered across the newspapers.
Yeah, so there definitely is discontent behind the scenes, because these internal, well, helpful interventions, as Angela Rayner may see them, I don't think Rachel Reeves sees them that way, keep getting out to the press. Now, it's just a few months ago that it was leaked that the Deputy PM had made a whole list of economic suggestions for possible tax rises, things that Rachel Reeves might like to consider. I don't think many people enjoy somebody else telling them sort of how they might do their job better. And the latest one is about tourist tax. Now, that is something that Angela Rayner, as in charge of communities, local development, is keen on, because we know councils are short of money. Yeah. People like Sadiq Khan, the London Mayor, Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, think it's a good idea to raise money for local areas. Places like Venice, Amsterdam, lots of cities have this. It's coming in Scotland, it's coming in Wales, but the Treasury are having absolutely none of it. Now, earlier on, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, was talking to the media. She was asked about her reaction to Rayner's suggestion. Let's have a look at what she had to say.
Look, I made decisions around taxation, and we made decisions in last year's budget. That was a once-in-a-generation budget to fix the mess that the last government put. We'll have another budget later this year, and I'll be setting out our tax policy there.
I make the decisions. Very clear, isn't it? I'm in charge. Back off, I think, is the subtext.
I mean, how bitter is this row? It does seem that between the Chancellor and the Deputy Prime Minister, there is an absolute fight going on behind the scenes, almost week after week after week.
It feels like a turf war, doesn't it? And let's face it, if you go back a year, the Prime Minister and Rachel Reeves were absolutely close as close could be. She seemed to be sort of master of all she surveyed, along with the PM. Angela Rayner was, we hear, feeling marginalised, feeling a bit sort of not in that inner circle. But Rachel Reeves has had an incredibly difficult year. You know, they came along saying they weren't going to put taxes up beyond the very limited ones they'd announced. She ended up having to put taxes up massively. Now there's another black hole. She's going to have to do that again. She is in a very difficult position. New borrowing figures out today for June, 20.7 billion. Lots of economic indicators going in the wrong way. Meanwhile, Angela Rayner working behind the scenes, very popular with lots of Labour Party members.
Well, the inevitable next question is, of course, given all of this apparent supposed leaking and briefing, given the meetings with backbench MPs and the like, is Angela Rayner making a pitch for the top job?
Well, of course she would. Officially, you're always told that nobody's interested in these top jobs at all. But look, I mean, there is continuing speculation, isn't there, about the Prime Minister. Will he lead Labour into the next general election? We know they're not like the Tories. It's not easy, and they don't have a habit for getting rid of leaders. But it could happen, and there's broadly people that think that Wes Streeting might be the answer. There's other people that think that Angela Rayner would be the answer, and she's very popular with the Labour base. And then there's other people who think that somebody who's not even in government would be the answer and the most popular of all. And that person, of course, is the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham.
Really interesting stuff there. Well, Catherine Forster, thanks indeed for bringing it all to us live here on GB News. Now, it's the summertime. It's sunny in this country, although if you've been in the south of England over the last 2 days, you might not think that it's summer, given all the rain. But you might want to check the weather elsewhere in the European continent, and here it is.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's going to stay sunny across much of southern Europe this week, increasingly hot in Greece, but rather windy at times for Portugal and the Canaries. It's often windy for the Canary Islands at this time of year, but it's even more so over the next few days. Likewise for Portugal. Plenty of sunshine, however, through Iberia, a lot of showers through the Pyrenees and southern France. Italy, largely fine across much of the country, but we've got the heat building in Greece, temperatures inland up to 43 Celsius.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel. Good afternoon, Britain. It's just coming up to 10 to 3, and now it's time for the pinnacle event in the British agricultural calendar. Yes, it's back. The Royal Welsh Show enters its 4 days of competitions and activities, including forestry and countryside sports. But hanging over the entire show is, of course, the terrible plight that so many farmers face, with the government's new inheritance tax policy hitting quite so many family farms. Well, joining us is our GB News reporter reporter Steve Bennett, who's there at the show for us. And Steve, what's the mood on the ground?
Hi, good afternoon to you both. Good afternoon, everyone. You're absolutely right. The farmers are really concerned, particularly here in Wales. Earlier on, I spoke to Gareth and he just laid out pretty simply what the challenges are. Here's what he said.
For me, you know, when you walk around the show, you see some of the best stock in the world, in one of the greatest agricultural shows there is, and how hard the farmers are working to produce these animals and watch after their stock. And we are constantly barraged from mainstream media, from governments and from supermarkets pushing prices down. So we need a fair playing field. We don't want to be importing cheap food which could destroy our industry. So we need to be fighting our corner. And when you hear them saying about planting trees, and I'm not against it, hedges and edges, right tree in the right place, I've got no problem with it. But don't take the people away from them areas. Don't take the livestock away from them areas. Don't take the families, because we will lose our culture, our language and our people.
So as Gareth was saying there, some real challenges for the farming industry, not just the inheritance tax that you mentioned, compulsory land purchases as well, where their land can just be taken away from them. They're talking there about how supermarkets are driving up the cost of their production, of their meats, their milks, and they're saying that, for example, you know, when they start lambing, you know, they're not going to get any money from that for months. So it's a real long process to get any return on the work they're doing. And Gareth was highlighting just how crucial it is to this whole community, and the people who are here today at the show, they're not just from Wales, they're from Britain, all of UK, across Europe as well, and it really is a pinnacle event to showcase just how great the work is that the farmers here are doing, the farmers across Britain are doing, and how key it was. If you remember, it's just a few months ago that farmers were considered key workers during the COVID pandemic, and now all of a sudden that doesn't seem to be the case. Gareth was saying that his farm he's been on is over 130 years he's been there. Generations of farmers are now threatened by the real fear that they might lose their farms unless they can sit down with the government, come up with plans that everybody wins, and it comes up with a solution that suits the farmers, meaning that they don't have their livelihoods affected. Really is a concerning time for these farmers, not just in Wales, but across all of Britain as well.
Such an important point, Steve. So good to see these farmers sort of showcasing what they do. They don't do it to get rich quick. There's so many other things that people can do if they want to make a quick buck. But my goodness me, they do it for the love of the land, for the family, for the communities that they serve. But Steve Bennett, thanks indeed for being there at the Royal Welsh Show for us. Well, that's it from Good Afternoon Britain today, but don't go anywhere. Of course, it's the one and only Martin Daubney up next. And Martin, what's coming up?
Well, thank you, Tom. Excellent show as ever. On today's show, I'll be joined by Lee Anderson for his final appearance of this parliamentary term. He's been in chamber today calling the Labour Party pathetic over plans to close Britain's 5th biggest oil refinery. Plus, I'll be joined by the MP for Epping as tensions mount in that community. He's urging the far left and Tommy Robinson supporters to stay away from the constituency. Have we got a Pakistani asylum explosion? We've got a huge problem. Now, the biggest recipients of asylum seekers in Britain. They come here legally, they simply refuse to leave. Is it time to ban all asylum visas for Pakistan until we get that sorted out? Plus, I'll be joined by a dad who turned up to his daughter's school in fancy dress as a gorilla. The school went ape and called him a security risk. He'll be on my show later on, 3 till 6, but first is your weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. For many, a fairly grey summer's day out there, a lot of cloud around, but signs of it brightening up in a few places, a little bit of sunshine poking through, but there are also going to be some showers, maybe even one or two heavy ones later on. Low pressure is in control, sitting just to the north of Scotland. Old weather fronts providing some light rain and drizzle, especially over the Midlands, southeast England, staying fairly damp in western Scotland. Some showers for Northern Ireland, some breaks in the cloud bit of sunshine poking through, maybe lifting the temperatures into the low 20s, 23, 24 possible across the southeast. Many areas close to the average, so high teens, low 20s. Come this afternoon and into this evening, one or two heavy, even thundery showers could break out, most likely over parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. Staying pretty damp on the west coast of Scotland, but we'll see, as I say, the cloud breaking up in a few places to reveal a little bit of sunshine here and there. Not a lot of that on offer across Northern Ireland, mostly cloudy here with some showers. As I mentioned, parts of northeast England, particularly east and North Yorkshire, could see some heavy, even thundery showers during the afternoon and into the evening. And there'll be a fair scattering of showers coming and going across Wales and southwest England too. Overnight, we'll continue with a lot of clouds. Some heavy showers could break out over the Midlands and South Wales too. Might see a downpour here. Elsewhere, the showers tending to ease. We'll see maybe a few more breaks developing in the cloud as temperatures dip into the low teens. On to Wednesday, again, a lot of cloud for most places, but should see some sunny spells coming through. And again, some heavy showers, most likely tomorrow over parts of East Anglia and southern counties of England. During the afternoon, the potential for a few lively thunderstorms that could drop a lot of rain. A sprinkling of showers for central and southern Scotland, but generally a drier day over the Midlands and parts of Wales. And again, temperatures high teens or low 20s.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash, so make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Welcome back to Breakfast. Now, experts are warning that lithium suppliers will not keep up with the demand for electric cars.
Yeah, researchers say domestic lithium production could grow as much by about 10 times what it currently